talking about?
We're talking, we knock you out.
33 don't care 3 markets. Go to them. I don't want you to know them upcoming new artists. Go to watch out. What do watch out? Them stink like my money. By the way, I don't want you no nice. I only want you to river.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We had a pretty pretty interesting, pretty fun showcase match between hashtag Peeve Nation and Wolfpack. Now we're getting back to the series, the actual gameplay from MWR6. And I'm joined here with JD Haffen, our commissioner, and lovely person that we all hate, apparently. What's going on with that, man?
I could not tell you. I think the plot thickened this year. With me being away, they thought they could kind of get away with some stuff, but now I'm back. I'm on my little revenge tour tonight, so we'll see how far that really got them tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely not let all this hatred from specifically Ace, who is still Canadian to this day, let you slap you on the back of the head there. I would definitely get some licks in if you had the opportunity. But we're back here at Wichita State University versus Buena Vista University in the lower division finals. Unfortunately, with all the scheduling and stuff, it's hard to get 30 people to, be coordinated in a manner where we can make things run perfectly. But you know what? We're doing our best. We're making sure that you guys have a good viewing experience. And I think we've got a pretty good one today. This one is kind of, I mean, other than yesterday night, we had a 3-mapper. I think that we're going to be seeing the same kind of concept from these two guys, to be honest with you.
I definitely would agree to that as well. I think that these teams really have shown kind of just the momentum. And I think Akron is one of those where it's a little bit off, where you kind of just know what the story is going to write. But for here, I think that these two teams are going to give us a good fight like it did last night.
Yeah, for sure. Should be pretty good. Let's go ahead. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to pull up what we're going to have to show for you guys today. We're going to take a look at the starting 5, starting with Wichita State University. And we've got some pretty good teams here. We have MWR6, Zack Attack, Purple, Azzy Reacts, and Shrimply with an average player rank of 56, so sub 100 for a Div4 team. Am I reading that right? Yeah, 56 from these guys. We've got MWR at the player rank of 3 and Zack Attack at 5. Kind of insane coming out from these two guys, and that's going to lower their player rank very, very largely, and a record of 5-1, so only losing 1 in the whole season, and then obviously a bye week here, so very solid coming out from these guys.
Notice when looking at the game preview here is something that BVU really is going to have to be kind of careful for, is, as you mentioned, Emma and Zack Attack as well. Just really the front momentum one's really kind of causing that average rank to go the way it is. So if BVU is able to figure something out and control some of these players and their momentum tonight, I think it's going to be a really good game for them.
Yeah,
But shout out to Emma and Zach for being where they are here in the standings.
yeah, absolutely. Going to be very interesting to see how these guys fare. Moving over to Buena Vista, we've got Soul farming my land. Guy's place still having a hard time getting this guy's name out the mouth, but I think it's Vedish Mine, I believe. I'm not entirely sure. I should have asked, but we're going to go with Vedish for the duration of this session. And
That name
finally,
sounds pretty familiar.
yeah, and finally, Fully Hectic, who's one of the top dogs in this squad here. Player average rank of 111, so just about at that sub 100 mark. Not quite, but very very close. It looks like they got some subs that kind of weigh that down just a little bit, but we're gonna just say that they're probably sub 100. So a very solid team and a 4-2 record, losing 2 matches as opposed to the one coming out from Wichita State. So a little bit interesting, but I mean nothing to really scoff at. They made it this far, obviously, so they're here for a reason.
Would 100% agree with that as well. Kind of looking at some of their stats for the rosters, they're very dead even when it comes to the player. Everyone's being held accountable. Everyone's doing their thing, and kind of like you mentioned with the sub, may have kind of increased that player rank average, but I can really expect to see a lot of teamwork coming from this team. Their communication's got to be really on point tonight, especially playing WSUT. Their record 4-2 speaks for itself. They played WSUT once and then they lost 1-2 against Illinois Red, another really strong team that just unfortunately didn't make the run that they probably expected to. But this team has been around with each other for a couple of years, so they definitely have that momentum and trust in one another to get here.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like all teams are ready for us. We're just gonna kind of breeze through the rest of this content for you here. Let's take a look at the map bans, and going to be fun to see. I mean, we've talked about maybe a 3-mapper. I'm kind of hoping for a 3-mapper because this will be the last time that we do get to see Skyscraper. But these are interesting, right? Because we see a lot of maps that are kind of the top picks, other than Chalet. Chalet was actually banned out by WST and BVU, the Beavers, banned that one out. But they played that one a lot. They have a 57 rounds played on that map. They opted to go ahead and ban that one out. And so we're going to be playing Labs, Clubhouse, and Skyscraper. And of those 3 maps, let's go ahead and take a quick look at the statistics for those.
Yeah, taking a look at these statistics, it's really just kind of like, what do you want to do with it? With the rounds played, I mean, they're pretty similar across the board for each one. Obviously, Skyscraper is a little bit different here. It's a little more one-sided for BVU. Maybe just WSUT just doesn't play it as much, or it's normally just one of those third maps, which they don't really go to 3 maps, so that's probably why. But the win percentage is really what is driving me for Nighthaven Labs. When it comes to WST, that 80% is a really good strong number, and when they did play on Skyscraper again at 78%. So I would watch out for those 2 maps, but again, BVU just has that kind of round count where they've seen a thing or two. So it'll be really interesting to see kind of how these rounds play out for one another.
Yeah, a really high map in percentage across the board for all these guys. If you're a plus 50 on all your maps that you play, I mean, you're sitting pretty strong, and that's kind of the case for both of these teams. Looks like maybe the weakest map for WSUT is maybe Cafe, and the weakest map for BVU is, I mean, maps that they haven't played. Everything else is, over 50%, and those 2 maps being Cafe and Lair. So they're looking really strong, to be quite honest with you. I can't lie. But let's take a quick look at how these 2 teams have fared throughout the regular season, and then we'll take a look and see how they've fared throughout the division. And we've seen the 5-1 streak come out from WSUT, only losing 1 to KU Blue, and those guys actually ended up being in the here with us today. They went ahead and fought MST Gold, so that was the 3-mapper that we saw yesterday night. So not too surprising to lose that match. Seeing if you're gonna lose to anyone, it might as well be the people that are gonna win it all.
Yeah, 100% agree with that as well. And I think it's a really strong testament of kind of what these teams that they were playing was as their opponents. I mean, you lost to a team that got the bronze. So it was clearly a strong team that just unfortunately maybe for them didn't get to where they wanted to be here tonight, but still a really good one. But the big thing for me looking at this, and we'll probably see it on the other team as well, is that they played the BVU here in week one. So obviously a really big time difference between then and now. So I'm really curious to see kind of what they do. But these are some strong names that they were playing against. So it's really interesting to kind of see that progression that each team had throughout the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And moving over to Buena Vista, two losses from them, one of them being the match that we have lined up for us today in the grand finals, and then a second one against Illinois, which a little bit interesting to see. They went to three maps, so not an easy fight for Illinois nor Buena Vista by any stretch, but just kind of hurts your stat line just a little bit more. Nothing too crazy to scoff at by any stretch. You lost one map, but you're still here, and that's kind of where we are today, moving over into the uh, playoff kind of season roadmap. Um, and it looks like BVU looking pretty strong. They managed to get all the way here without without going to three maps, pretty single-handedly. Um, WSU same exact instance. They beat out Kettering, beat out Crusaders, and then beat out MSD Gold. Pretty self-explanatory. No crazy three mappers coming out from these guys. They're here to win.
I definitely would say that they are here to win as well. Just the juggernaut that they had to go through in each of these brackets, and I wouldn't count out any of these teams. They've definitely kind of showcased why they deserve to be in the playoffs. So I would say that these teams are ready to go. So let's definitely see kind of how this plays out. But this could very well be a 2-0, or it definitely could be a lot more than that.
Yeah, I agree. I'm wanting to see a three mapper. I don't want it to go as late as 11 o'clock. That was pretty brutal. But we started an hour earlier, so hopefully we don't end up seeing that. Um, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting for the grand finals as well. A lot more stakes on the line for us today, so it's gonna be interesting to see how these guys fare. I'm curious to see what we have in store for us.
I definitely hope for with this map as or this series as well that as you mentioned, just the stake that they have, that they really just come down to just working as a team, doing their fundamentals that got them here, not really changing anything differently because it got you this far. But only time will tell here to see where this is going to go. But for me, I'm going to predict a three map. I think that the story for them from week one to now deserves three maps. But as you said, I don't want this to go to 11 p.m. either. But I'm here for the game.
Yeah, yeah, it is. The first week that they played, and so a lot of time has happened since then. So not really something you can just base off of. To be quite honest with you, it's not the full story, right? And so we're gonna look at some more statistics and whatnot later on in the second map. We're gonna hold off on those just for a little bit though. I wanna keep some of the content for later on, before we get too deeply into it. But still waiting on all of our players to make sure that they're all ready and whatnot. I think that we're pretty much ready to go here, at least on our end. But interesting. All right. I heard word of Observer saying that we're actually in the game right now, but I don't see that. So let me see what we can do. Let me
I
see what
did get confirmation from Sharkbait that it is Ved-ish mean.
fetish mean. Okay.
If I still said that wrong, I do apologize, but that was the syllables that I received from the team.
Interesting.
Probably my accent saying it wrong, but I'm hoping I got it right.
Alrighty, I think the match just got fixed up for us here. We're gonna go ahead, get us moved over. Sorry for the wait, everyone. We're still kind of getting everything situated on our end, but nonetheless, looks like there we go. We're having already some amazing issues. That's just exactly what we want to see. But nonetheless, getting this game underway, and it's gonna be a good one. I can already tell.
I'm very curious to see what we're gonna do here for the bans. I'm gonna be honest, but I did see in the chat there is mayonnaise an instrument. I think that was the question. I think that's a great one to start it off. Really good icebreaker, especially for the team. But Maverick and Kate, I'm not too shocked for when it comes to Nighthaven Labs. Both really staple operators when it comes to the top 4 attack, especially in the basement as well. But I think here as well, we're going to see just a little bit more of that personality between the two teams. And Thermite, obviously, with his 3rd new charge, and Vigil with the Roam. Again, I'm not really surprised. I know Emma in the past really liked Vigil, so they definitely probably did their homework for BVU. But I'm a little curious on how this one is going to play out, especially in the first few rounds.
Attackers need to
We've
locate
seen
and defuse bombs.
operators rather, throughout the league. Scopos being one of them, Demos being another really strong operator. We've seen a lot of gameplay from these two, honestly. It's been interesting to see. Demos has been a staple so far in a competition. Obviously, you're going to have your shield and what have you. You're going to go for a lot of traps this round, it looks like, as well as a shield counter for Oryx. So, see what we have.
I think something that we should really take into consideration here is kind of just the lineup that WST is starting with for round 1 2. They're playing to be aggressive. Is something I see. Obviously, you have the Mira that plays more bunkered in sight, but she's going to be really impactful here if they're able to get this ball somehow. But with that, you have the Scopos, the Oryx as well, really just wanting to cause the problems maybe on that top 4, kind of slow down BVU as much as possible, and just kind of figuring out what they want to do from here. So I'm really curious to see how BVU is going to attack this. It seems their attack is meant to do the roam clear, but it's going to come down to how fast can they do it with some of these roamers out on the
Heading to the rooftop early on. Gonna be going for that garden push, it looks like. And gonna be interesting to see. Not a whole lot happening so far, but you gotta keep in mind that this is just a good comp to counter just about everything. But it all, what's gonna come down to is which operator falls first. To be quite honest with you, I mean, you've got counters for everyone, but who falls first will allow those doors, those gates to kind of open up, get that momentum flowing for them. And then we see the first entrance into the building, gonna be going around the hallway here into kitchen, and that's gonna be our first entrance. A lot of damage on Fully Hectic so far early. Not a great look.
I would say I'm definitely worried about that damage taken to the Buck. Buck is going to be really important when especially if they start in the basement. You got to get it open a lot of those floors. And it looks like the Demos gets picked off by the roamer by Emma. And again, it's just where you have to make sure that some of these operators stay alive, because you don't want these guys coming back up towards you. But again, Buck has to stay alive as much as he can to get some of this wall open, but you really can't lose the Demos when it comes down to those roamers still being on the board.
A lot of presence coming out here from the staircase. Crazy close opportunity coming out from, I believe that was Dokevi, but and Montaigne kind of just taking that space slowly as they make their way towards EXO now is a good opportunity. So they've got the space on this side of the map, but try to get more space on the other side is going to be a great BVU or WSU team. Crazy opportunity here, 35 seconds left to go. And looking pretty good. There's another kill coming out. Soul is going to take down Tripley, and that's going to cause another opening for BVU to push forward here. Shots going back and forth. Purple is going to die out to the flames, actually very unfortunate, and Emma is going to take down Soul with assisting, I presume, to the yellow pings coming out from the camera that was just shot there. And unfortunately we were buffered out here, but we're back. Emma with a 3-piece there. Just 10 seconds left to go. Really Hectic on 1 HP. He's going to have to try to go for something crazy here, and he's going to get taken down by Emma for a 4-piece, I believe.
Yeah, Emma's one of those players where you just really have to figure out what her game plan is. She's the roamer that you have to figure out really quickly. Otherwise, again, it's going to be one of those games where she's hunting you down the whole time. But the biggest one for me was a lot of those trades. Unfortunately, didn't go in favor of BVU on that one. It did go in favor of WSUT, but you just have to make sure that you're staking with it. You're winning these gunfights and being able to push through the door. I mean, you can't lose a lot of the HP in that Montang as quickly as they did. But the second we get there, you can make ground. But again, it's the formation, being able to push and work as a team. But
Attackers need to
the second
locate
that
and
they get
defuse
this,
bombs.
that they have the roamers on the board, your plan doesn't really want to go into full action. So I understand the cautiousness of BVU, but you can't let that happen. It's time to regroup for the second round, and WSUT just has to keep their foot on the gas for now.
First round going in favor of WSUT. A little bit of a different comp from them now.
Place device.
See how BVU adjusts.
10 seconds left.
Will adjust in terms of fighters, but
Organ set up and ready to
attack.
initiate jammer.
5 seconds remaining.
Explosive ordnance is ready.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb
Personally,
and
I'm a
defuse
big
it.
fan of what they changed to for BVU. Going with the Grim, I think that's going to be really helpful, especially if they use it as intended for on the Rafter side. I think Zofia is also another strong pick. Maybe trying to get rid of the bandit that's holding onto the double wall. But I think that they made the right adjustments. It's now, can they execute it? But again, with the roamers,
Make it
yeah,
a hole!
Warden really going to be able to cause that problem. So it's just a matter of, can they get them isolated back in the site and really execute it with the Montang to push where they need to for a post play. Looks like just a lot of drone is currently going on. And again, kind of just seeing where the Zofia got was. She was there for the bandit. Not really a whole lot of surprise coming from that. It does sound like they are getting the wall open from the ace, which is fantastic. That's some big momentum for them that they have now a safe location. Now it's just a matter of where they go, along with the Grim as well. Really just trying to take that Raptors control is the biggest one that I see for them. But Emma, again, just causing the problems, and they can't really seem to clear it because you don't have the buck below to really cause that problem underneath. So I wonder what BVU is going to try to do here to clear her out, but also keep moving forward on their attack and not stop.
And that vector is very crucial. Making their way into waterfall. Looks like you have to watch out for this Warden shield here. Has a great spot to just run her down. And Purple able to assist, but Purple actually gets shut down by Vedish. And that's going to be very awful to see. And what's even more awful to see is this gray circle in front of my screen. But oh man.
Just when the game gets good. Right when it gets good to about the minute mark, it's got to figure out what's going on. But we're back in the action, and what a flick by Zach. Again, the Warden is the one that's going to be causing them a lot of issues. But again, you can't count out anybody. But again, BVU just cannot stall out. They have to keep going.
Of this first here, or this round here rather. Zach and Emma still up on the board, still very, very tough people to fight up against. And when you have a shield player, you're not providing enough support in terms of firepower when you're down in a 3v5, 3v4 situation like this. And it's just not a great situation you want to be in for the team.
I think depending on how this round's going to go, it's obviously going to depend on just what BVU can do here. But I think this is one of the conversations where, okay, now you've seen 2 rounds, you kind of seen how they want to play this a little bit. And this round, they didn't really quite have that utility to really burn out these shields or to go underneath. So I think there's some adjustments to be made here. But WSUT playing really strong in defense. It's BVU. Can we figure out what we want to do? And there we go, taking advantage of WSUT's little mistakes like that to accidentally team kill one of your players. Can they utilize and keep going off of that momentum?
Production is slowly working towards a fix on this, we promise you. We're not just letting this is not how it's going to be the whole stream. I totally promise you guys. So slowly working on a fix here to get through this final round here. 25 seconds left to go, and down to a 2v2 situation. Emma still racking up kills, 6 kills in the second round rather, and is looking pretty good. Trying to get him out of the game, but not able to do it. And now Fetish is down on 1 HP, trying to get this kill. And I don't believe you were able to get it because I heard the death animation there, the sound, but. Fetish is going to fall, and WSUT taking their second round there after the knife kill, which is insane.
Personally, I'm a really big fan of kind of how they held that crossfire between the two of them on WSUT. Just really kind of forcing BVU's hand to have to walk into the site, even though they didn't want to, but they had to. And I think that's why BVU is going to call this time. And I think for them personally, they just kind of have to go back to the drawing board and say, hey, our attacks are not structured the way that they're playing defense right now. And I think by doing that, they're going to be able to figure out a momentum here. And I would really prefer to see more utility that they can burn through for their attacks. However, for WSUT, what I think that they need to keep doing is keeping their foot on the gas, but also allowing maybe for BVU to fall more into their traps that maybe they didn't expect or that they wanted to see kind of moving forward. So what I would do for them is just keep staying on the roam and focusing on what we can do differently to make sure that they fall into where we want to go, not we fall and push back to where they currently are.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see how we kind of move forward here. Slowly working on trying to fix some of the network issues that we're having right now. But yeah, we got. I mean, yeah, like you mentioned, the BVU definitely just needs to keep on pushing forward. And right now, Emma is quite frankly carrying this team. At least going into this third round here, they're just doing a fantastic job. Really pushing forward, getting these kills, and it's the Vector so far. They've played Mira, they've played Goyo, it's the Vector. It's such a great gun with good utility as well, and it's just causing major issues for BVU right now.
I definitely think that the Vector was, personally, in my opinion, an interesting call, but a really powerful one when utilized properly. But I think right now for BVU, it's how can we slow Emma down? How can we kind of throw her off her game? Because right now, like you mentioned, she's the one really driving this for her team. And as we look in the stats, she's number 1 on her team in terms of the MWPR. So it's how
Defenders,
can we
protect
kind
your
of
bombs from
figure
being
out the
defused by
momentum and
attackers.
how can we really stop it? So right now, she's going to be playing on a roaming op. How can we stop her is what BVU has to be thinking in their mind, but also keeping their foot on the gas because they don't want that clock to become an issue
Attackers
like it
have
was in the
discovered the
last round.
location of a bomb.
Camera in position.
Into the third round, gonna be going downstairs here, and they had pretty good success downstairs. You know, they were doing a pretty fantastic job. I think BVU did a good job of, you know, squishing some of that space out from them, but they were able to just fall back in really good positions and hold on to their utility that they had. And so I think that bans that they may have chosen may not have been enough. The visual ban in particular, I think that there's still other good roaming options for them. I think I would have maybe targeted that ban towards something that we can, you know, stop a lot of the utility early on, and then if the roams become a problem for us, then we can go ahead and ban a roaming. But having banned out the roamer early may not have been a great call.
I think that's one where you just kind of have to pick your poison for BVU. I mean, if you go back in time, you know that at least for WSUT, Vigil is the bread and butter for Emma as an operator. So maybe they were trying to maybe exclude one of her comfort operators in terms of that. But I do definitely have to say that BVU should have gone with more of what's going to help them on their attacks first, and then secondly, figure out where they wanted to go from there.
Whoa. Okay. All right. More technical difficulties. We'll come back to us for a second. That doesn't sound like a bad idea for right now. Yeah, I mean, a really good opportunity for WSC to kind of carry this momentum that they've got going. I mean, 7 kills coming out from Emma very early on, and you know, one kill from just about every player so far from the rest of WSUT. We're still waiting for that player from BVU to kind of step up a little bit. You know, still waiting for Soul, still waiting for Fully Hectic to really show up, still waiting for Farming My Land to show up. And they have the stats to prove that they are very good players with guns. but they're just not showing us that yet. I think that that's important.
I think for in terms of this right now, it's just what can BVU really be doing to kind of just build that momentum back. And I think that tech pause, or that not tech pause, but their tactical timeout was a really big step for them. So I was really curious to see what was going to happen here in that third round, whether they shifted their momentum or how they wanted to utilize that. But realistically, they just need to go back to their fundamentals, say, hey, we're a team. We got to keep playing together. We got to execute together and just really just figure out what can we do to keep pushing the ground and taking space when WSUT just wants to keep throwing the roamers at them.
Yeah, I agree. We're not going to go to a tech pause or a break. We're going to stay here. We're just about getting maybe everything ready. We might go to a break. It looks, that sounds like from what observers are telling me, we might go to a quick little break here. But yeah, we're going to come back from a quick little break. It's 2-0 so far for WSUT. Looking to see how well they can push this forward. I'm pretty excited to see what they've got in store for us. We're going to see what they can bring back for us, but we're going to go to a quick break. I apologize. We thought we had everything figured out, but you can't have a good stream without some issues. So we'll be right back, and we will catch you guys in just a moment.
I don't want you to know them upcoming new artists. Go to watch out. What watch out? Them stink like my money. By the way, I don't want you no nice. I only want you to river.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I have some very unfortunate news. I'm not happy to say this personally, but um, old OBS guy had some technical issues. Not his fault. It's just the computer. It is what it is. And personally, I was about a round behind from where he was streaming to me. And he was on round 4. We were just finishing round 2. Um, and the delay got discarded. I'm so sorry. It's not something I'm happy to share. But with that being said, WSUT won round 3. It was 3-0 going into round 4. We're starting the bans for that right now. JD?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about kind of just that learning that BVU lost that third round. You don't like to lose a round coming right out of your attack timeout, but it's a really interesting thing to kind of just learn that information. And unfortunately, we don't get to kind of see how that momentum played in their favor. Apparently, didn't work out too hot for them. But the bans, the Blackbeard and the Goyo, I'm not really sure I agree with the Goyo ban in terms of BVU. I don't think that was your biggest problem, besides maybe the Vector being the primary.
Defenders, protect your
But
bombs
the
from being
Blackbeard,
defused by
I
attackers.
think that one's a safety pick for WSUT, thinking that maybe BVU might get a little desperate and try to use the Blackbeard for something. We didn't really see the Blackbeard get used at all, so that might just be a safety opportunity for them. But this is a little bit of an interesting pick for both teams, to say the least.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, man. It is going to be interesting to see. There's no way. What? Yeah, I totally agree. I think the Goyo pick was rather smart, to be honest with you.
10 seconds left
There
before
were a lot of issues from BVU.
5 seconds
The
left before
BVU
the
had a lot of issues kind of fighting up against that, to be honest with you. And so
attackers are moving out
being
to
able
locate
to
a
maybe
bomb and
close
defuse
that off, not a terrible idea, but it might be a little too late. You know, I mean, it's just not a great thing to see. Of course, the Blackbeard band, kind of whatever. They have been running the Montaigne quite a bit, so shields are definitely on table. But wrong shields? Question mark? I'm not sure.
I definitely would agree with maybe the wrong shield. It definitely seems like BVU was really rocking with the Montang, so kind of allowing them to keep it on the board. Maybe a false security, I'm not quite sure, but one of those where it's just, you would think that that's probably what they would have done, but I guess pick your poison. They'd rather face the Montang that doesn't have a gun than a Blackbeard who would. But it would be very interesting to see kind of the approach that they want to take here, especially with adding their own with the it's been a while. But it doesn't look like it's just it's an extra shield for them. So I definitely think that it's a good pick for them, and now BVU is gonna have to figure out how they can counter the shield on the attack as well.
Lots of picks going off. Another double kill coming out. Clash really causing some issues for BVU, and now down to a 5v2 situation. A lot of health taken away from farming my land, and it's just a really tough situation to be in. Azzy took a lot of damage there, but you got 3 people off the board for BVU, and almost 4. So I would argue that that's pretty darn good value if your team is looking for it, and you still have purple waiting on backup. You got the flank for Scopos. It's just looking really solid for WSUT so far. Of course, this is their map pick, so maybe not too surprising, but they've played the map both pretty consistently, a lot of times, a lot of game time for both teams, so it's not too surprising. Shrimply, along with the Clash, getting that kill there, and Emma's going to get the last one on farming, and that's just going to be a flawless round for WSUT.
Yeah, kind of looking at this one, it was where we were kind of talking about it at the beginning, where the Clash, you have to figure out how you wanted to counter it. BVU didn't see Clash up until that point, so maybe they tried to make the adjustments for without the Clash on the board. You have to face her, and not only were you facing the Clash, but it was a whole different type of weapon utilized for WSUT, being that extra eyes to kind of peek from, and it really worked in their favor. I mean, the Clash only 1 kill, but probably got 3 assists in the making there for the rest of the team. So great pick by WSUT. Maybe now contemplating their choices from BVU, but how do you recover from this is now where they are having to go to. I really hope that they aren't going to start doing some desperate picks here, some desperate type of tactics, but it's really do or die now if BVU wants to start getting up on this board.
10 seconds left.
Yeah, I totally agree. You've already taken your timeout. You don't really have a lot of time to be able to recoup here.
5 seconds left.
You don't want to go 5-0 or 6-0 going into this halftime here. So you got to start kicking up. Really start punching into this fight here. And I think that it really starts falling into the bans, right? Because I think that Wichita State has really adapted to the ban so far. They banned out a lot of really core operators here. Maybe not the Blackbeard, but they had a really good job adapting. They brought the Clash in right after the bans, and they were able to just bring a new threat that BVU necessarily wasn't introduced to, and it's just been working for them.
And I'm gonna say I have to say that kind of waiting to play that Clash until after the bans was a really smart choice by them, because now you have no way to really stop them from not playing it. So it was a smart pick by them, but it's one of those where we just have to figure out now, if you're BVU, how can we counter that along with the defense setup that they already had that worked for them before. But again, it's gonna come down to this Raptors play, and can they work together to get it done? And starting with a big pick on Emma first, the one that's been kind of carrying the momentum for WST, is a fantastic start.
Shield v shield action going on here. Gonna be going with the Thatcher hit, trying to stop this Clash, making some presence known, but it's not really gonna be too successful here. Gonna be hitting Legion Mines as we hit this 130 mark, but they've made their way into electrical. They made their into E-box, if that's what you want to call it. IT, I believe that's what it's called. And they're making some good presence known here, but Bomb is not over there. So you gotta start making some more ground here.
I think that's where it's really going to start to come down to, is you want to take the ground, but how are you going to get it? It looks like they're really starting to stall out, but again, can they find these picks? And again, really great opportunities there to do that by BVU. They cut them off. They cut the rotation off, and they really forced the cards into their hands by making these defenders have to really stay put and really isolate them, and they're able to get those picks. But now they kind of felt themselves in this similar style earlier in the game. Can they now execute this to get the bomb down and really force that post plane into their eyes?
Bomb is going to be attempted to go down here in this last 30 seconds, and this 4v2 is looking pretty solid for BVU so far. I mean, they had a great double kill from Soul there to really kick out a lot of the space, and with the bomb planted now, Wichita State has a lot of ground to make back up. Some damage coming onto Purple, and he's going to be crossfired away by Fully Hectic. And now just a 1v4. Zach's not going to be able to find the player. Farming able to get that kill, and their first round for Wichita State, or for BVU, I'm sorry, for BVU.
For the Beavers, man, and they absolutely deserved that round. You look how they played that round compared to everything else that they were doing. And they played as a team. You could tell they were playing as a team, and they really wanted to choke off those rotates, those exit points for WSUT to try to maybe escape and recounter them back if they were to get that bomb down. They never got the chance to. So I would say BVU is able to go here and do the same thing. This round they have a fighting chance, but it's how much can they stay and adapt to what now WSUT is going to change based on how their last round went for them.
Yeah, and I think it really just took patience from Buena Vista. They just waited for a good opportunity, and Soul did a fantastic job finding that and took great advantage, kicking that double kill there. And now, going down to the first floor here, Wichita State had success in previous rounds with this, or every round before this last one, I suppose, but it'll be interesting to see what they can cook up here. Not opting for the Clash this time anymore, but rather going to be having the Soul for the Solus for the roam, and then Valkyrie, which is just a very great operator on this map in particular. And no hard breaches coming out from Buena Vista either.
Yeah, that one is a little confusing in my eyes, that they don't want to bring the hard breach. I feel like they're probably just going to try to go guns blazing, maybe try to take the early advantage to hop into sight, maybe set it up where they don't need to. But this is one of those where it's like you should have somebody as a fallback, and I mean they somewhat do with the Ying and Grim having those hard breach options to kind of fall back to. But again, it's a little bit of a strong choice, but a little bit more aggressive. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do here. And it looks like they might be trying to do something quick, but is their team set up to handle something like that?
They also don't have the ram, which is kind of interesting. Great way to dodge that nade, that C4 rather, and get out of there just in time. Or maybe trying to get back in here. I'm not too sure what they're trying to decide to do here, but Mute is really trying their best not to allow them in this. Ying flashes are going out. Now the Montaine's getting their way in, trying to hide behind it. Guy's Place gets the first opening pick on Emma. That's very crucial for Buena Vista here, but a nice shotgun kill coming out. Gets the knock on from Shrimply there, but Breeze knocked out and traded away by farming. And now the 3v5 has started. Dust is maybe settled a little bit, but a lot of damage on Buena Vista, but they have the numbers.
I would definitely have to say that the attack idea is working flawlessly. They have to make sure that they can stay and grab the vert. But I like how fast and aggressive they're playing. But now it's, do they recognize what operators they have that can stall this momentum, the extra cams? But someone's got to help this Valkyrie because she's about to be outnumbered fast. And now the site is going to be in favor of BVU. Can they execute with it?
This Echo drone is causing very big problems for Buena Vista so far, but I think they're going to be able to get this bomb down. No, they don't, just in time. He gets the hit from the Echo drone. Purple is able to keep this round alive for Wichita State so far, and it's not looking great as the bomb tries to maybe go down once again, but it actually stopped, and that's going to allow Purple once again to try to stop this bomb from being planted. Gonna go for ahead for the swing, but Fully Hectic reads it, has great ears, and now it's just up to Purple who's gonna be able to try to stop this plant here, but they've got plenty of eyes to be able to find this. Now the 1v3 situation, great reaction timing from Purple to try to stop that bomb plant. Bomb's finally gonna go down though. Montaigne is gonna cause some issues for Purple here.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much you can do there on the defensive side for WSUT. Just really just seeing that BVU had the momentum from that last round, you probably expected they were going to do something similar, and it looked like that with their lineup. It looked like if that first attack wave didn't work out, that they were going to go with the more safe route. But it really did work out for them. But something that they really just didn't seem to grasp was the echo cam that was sitting there, which was a really big one for WSUT. They just didn't have the numbers to really execute with that information. But that's one of those things where you just have to figure out what do you want to do from there and how do you want to solve it. But BVU, great job going 2 in a row. Now they're going to go over to the defensive side, but WSUT still 4, really strong. They only need 3 to go.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job rotating the script, so to speak, and really just adapting fantastically. They started working a lot more together. They're able to, I think that Emma was being shut out, and the rest of the team, they really haven't shown up a whole bunch. We're still waiting for the rest of the team from Wichita State to kind of show up a little bit more, and Emma still has kind of been the high value target. And so, yeah, like you mentioned, switching over to defense now, we're seeing the Tubarão pick, the Zombie pick. Bans were, pretty standard. You're going to have like all of your hard breach bans come out. And Deimos still obviously someone that you want to get off the board rather quickly. There's a lot of floors and ceilings to be able to shoot through on this map in particular. So on second floor we go. We'll see what Wichita State has in their pockets for attacking.
And one thing I have to kind of say about the bans as well is that WSUT really did. They banned 2 really strong options for BVU to use on their defense when it comes to wall security, something that BVU didn't really do themselves. So it's a little interesting to see how they're going to take that approach where they kind of gave it to WSUT as a different option. Maybe they're going to use that kind of as their way of saying, okay, how can we do it our way? But some strong choices for them as well. They probably figured they were going to go with the 2 bans on it, got rid of the Maverick form, but again, they don't really have a way now to solve that thermite issue.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening right now. I knew that, as you were talking about it, IT is going to be open regardless at this point. There's no stopping it. Tubarão can try his best, try his hardest. Maybe Mute can come in and save the day, but it's just not going to be very feasible for him. Purple getting the first shot onto Soul, making this an easy 5v4 for Wichita. As Garden opens up for him, it's getting pretty scary so far. A lot of space being opened up early.
Yeah, that's a really big blow as well for the defensive team. With BVU, you lose lose that roamer really quickly within that first minute. Now you're not going to really have a lot of that pressure, but the buck causing the issue. One thing that we really noted for BVU was having that floor below, the opportunity to do something with it. And we really just saw that light and shine there for Zach and WSU team.
Yeah, I mean, if Deimos doesn't work, Buck will do the trick just fine. And that seems to be the case for him. Kind of plowing through Buena Vista right now. Down to a 5v1, trying to become a flawless round, but eventually being taken down. Fully Hectic is trying to salvage what's left of his team so far and just trying to keep their team alive. Gonna be getting a nice kill once again. The bomb's gonna go down actually. It's a pretty good opportunity, but you gotta keep yourself vigilant here. There's another for Fully Hectic. He gets a triple kill, and now it's becoming a little scary for Wichita State. Now we have to kind of focus up a little bit. We don't have the bomb. We're going for a little bit of a flank. We were already on first floor, I suppose, so now we're just kind of watching the flank rather. And this is getting interesting. Down to just a minute left.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure I agree with the WSUT tactic here.
And it's not. It's a 1v1.
This is proving why.
Able to pick themselves back up, but now you're on 1 HP. And oh my gosh! Oh man, I really thought he was gonna get a nice turn-on kill, but fantastic read coming out from Zach Attack to save that round. That was almost a round you really did not want to lose from Wichita, and Buena Vista had a really close opportunity there.
Yeah, that one was a little, probably too close for comfort when it comes to WSUT. Really big props, though, for BVU to kind of figure that out and get themselves back into that round. But when it comes down to that, it's like, why would you give them the opportunity to do that where you just maybe messing around a bit, where you're not fully set up to where you were able to kind of refrag each other? That's something that WSUT is going to have to probably think about in the back of their mind when it comes to this round and say, hey, we can't let this happen again. But for BVU, it's now you see that their attack has a flaw when it comes to how they want to do something. How can you execute it now or go further with it to set it up more in your favor to where you can get those lucky picks next time, or set yourself up to be in that opportunity to maybe get the man advantage and keep moving with it.
Still no options to keep walls from being blown open by Wichita State. So opting for the Tubarão and Mute pick once again, but it's not a great. They don't even have the. They don't even have it. Okay, they were going for the there, but regardless, the reinforcement is only delaying the inevitable here. I mean, maybe you can stall it out with a Mute or Tubarão, but it's not looking great. Mute, or rather Blitz, already making great progress up on the second floor, trying to clear that out. That's going to be something you want to think about. It's just doing that top-down clear. It doesn't look like a huge amount of roaming coming out from maybe Ella, who's up on the second floor warehouse at the time, but gonna be interesting to see. Gonna try to push them out early on, and that's the first pick coming out. Zach Attack with a great kill on Fully Hectic, and not something you want to see if you're Buena Vista here.
Yeah, so definitely something to kind of note from that was you could see it on the feed here was they had the drone in front of them, and they were working behind the Blitz with another gun up. They were ready for anything that drone saw, ready to pounce, and they did just that. So again, but you lose that roamer 1 minute into the round, and now you're going to have to recoup a man down. You lost your roamer, you lost a lot of extra sight, they're going to get the more cams, and now you're just going to have to kind of play bunker down and see what are they going to do, or are they going to give you an inch and you got to take it a mile to maybe try and reflank and take some ground that you have given up so quickly here in the round.
More pressure coming out from Blitz here. Zach's trying to make his presence known. Gonna be getting a nice eye on Sola here. Good picks coming out from Farming though. That's gonna shut down the Blitz, and that's gonna give them a lot more space to work with. No refrag for Wichita State as well. And a nice double kill coming out from Buena Vista as well between Farming and Soul. 2 headshots off the board now, and it's just a 4v2. Not looking great anymore for Wichita. They had a good opportunity here, but it was kind of squandered.
Yeah, give them an inch, take it a mile. That's a big one that can go for any team, and it looked like BVU was able to kind of find a way to get back up on that floor, maybe send up some roamers, and they were able to retake a lot of that ground, and now WSUT is kind of having to go back to the drawing board and saying, what can we do here? But a nice, strong pick here from, I can't see, is from one of their players. should be from the Thermite, but now you don't have Case, and again, it's just, when is BVU going to find you? And it was a matter of time.
Yeah, and what was interesting to me was that both of the doors were, or both of the walls on site were actually open from Wichita State, and it didn't matter. Like, they didn't care. Everyone was dead, and Thermite was just kind of sitting there waiting for the action to happen, waiting for his team to, advance throughout the entirety of the map, and it just never really came to fruition. And that was just a very smart move from Buena Vista there.
Defenders, protect your bombs
Kind
from being defused
of going
by
off of that
attackers.
as well, Buena Vista has done just a really good job so far in their defense. I have to give them credit. They're figuring out what's working for them, and they're taking these opportunities that WSUT has given them. But now, in terms of flipping it over, WSUT has a strong plan. They're moving fast, but now the question is starting to ask: are they maybe moving too fast, where they're not droning everything to the way that they think they should be? And that's where they're missing some of these extra roamers who are kind of lurking around, giving them an extra chance to go back upstairs and figure out how they want to take more ground. So it's figuring out now, are we moving too quick? Are we doing what we need to? But again, we know that from the stats, Emma and Zach are the ones carrying this team, and they get about one pick and die off. So it's, can we figure out, if you're in BVU, how can we continue to stop them? But for WSUT, how can we get our teammates more involved in the action? And again, speaking of the devil, Emma finding a really fast pick on the roamer again with only 20 seconds into the round.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Soul. Don't want to be stuck on cams for the rest of the round, to be honest with you, and just kind of watch your team play for you. But yeah, and I think that some of the team from Wichita State has really stepped up. Purple and Zach have really done a great job causing some havoc, especially Zach on Buck. And it's going to be interesting to see now in a 4v5 situation, Buena Vista, as they hold up into the second floor here. That Thermite eventually will go off regardless, so you're kind of just holding on, making sure that you can try to keep some of this space for as long as you can. But it's going to be something that BVU has to watch out for.
And personally, this is really where you're going to want to start taking into effect kind of just what operators that this team is running, or what do you think that they're going to be playing, and something to consider here when the next ban wave goes through. But right now, they have to continue focusing on what's going on, and Buck, again, causing lots of problem from below. The mute, although really low, still gets to tell the tale about it, and it's still another gun with a nitro still on the board.
Taking a lot of space from below, really just causing havoc, like you mentioned, and it's really just opening up a lot of space for Wichita State so far. Able to make that space node, and the drones kind of yellow pinging out where they are so that they can just blow over the floor below. That's going to cause a lot of problems. They have to get this buck off the floor, trying to get a little bit of a pick there, but only taking half damage. Fully Hectic not able to find it. Shrimply taking down Guy's place, and another kill coming out from Emma. That's their double in a 5v2 situation for Wichita. They were just hoping to sweep this up off the floor. Farming trying to shut this down early, gets that finally gets that pick on Zack Attack, but the bomb is going down.
So yeah, that one is a tough one where you kind of have to figure out, one is guaranteed downstairs, one's on site. What can you do with it? But now you have the roamer coming back into sight. Are you ready for it on your defensive side?
Oh, dang, a really close opportunity, but not finding it there. I almost thought he was right there, to be honest with you, but good read coming out from Wichita State. And now we're on match point of the first round here, 6-3. Buena Vista still trying to find their footing on defense here. It just hasn't quite gone their way. We're going to see what they go ahead and choose for the third ban. Maybe that'll help them out a little bit, but I think that Wichita has done a great job with their first two bans, getting these electric off early.
I don't want to be the guy, but I'm a little confused on BVU's pick. I understand Thermite is a problem, but Buck has been worse. I think that they should have gone with the Buck pick. The Thermite they've kind of dealt with. I mean, if you hold off their attacks long enough, the Thermite can only do so much.
Defenders, protect your bombs.
I feel like they made the wrong call. I hope they're wrong. I'm hoping I'm wrong. But I think the Buck was a smart play in terms of WSUT with the Azami. I agree with that one as well. Just kind of causing off some of those rotates that they were making open, but not the biggest in terms of the value that we've really seen the Izami play past just an extra couple seconds to shoot, open some of those rotations back up.
And not only that, I mean, it doesn't even matter that you're playing Mute. Mute does not counter Ace anymore. At least I believe so. After the recent patch, I don't believe that Mute counters Ace. And so the walls are just going to be open regardless again. So the Thermite pick is just giving them an alternative to shut down your players again. So yeah, I totally agree. I think the Buck has been a problem for a long time. Something needs to be done about that right now. Of course, they're going downstairs, so maybe it's not a huge deal. When BVU was downstairs, Wichita State rather was downstairs, the Ram wasn't brought. We don't see Ram this time, but the Buck is just a good substitute of that. And so there's just going to be a lot of open angles for them to really watch out.
I think at that point, if you keep the Buck on the board, you would pick the Buck pretty much every time over the Ram, because if you use the R4C on Ram, it's such a hard gun to control. You'd rather go with the Bucks at that point for almost the same value. But again, it's just what can you do with it? And Emma gets down early, but a really quick trade between a lot going back and forth. But it ends up being in BVU's favor.
Yeah, and good job getting out of there just in time, making sure that you're getting your picks and then you're getting out. You don't want to overheat and try to just go for some crazy picks, especially in grand finals here. You want to just play this game safe. You're down. You want to make sure that you can live another round and try to get this OT going.
A big one to note as well is that both Emma and Zach were the ones to fall, the two carrying the team in terms of their MWPR. Now it's up to their team for Purple, Trimpley, and Ozzy to really figure out where they want to go from here and really be the ones to make the impact if they want to close this here and now.
Fontaine still trying to find some presence here, find somewhere to take space. I have a lot of this for Wichita, but it's not going to matter too much if everyone's kind of hunkered down, and I think that's just about what BVU intends to do. 60 the castle up on the second floor still trying to cause some troubles, but I don't think he's going to get too far before he rotates off as well as we hit this last minute of round number 10 here. Eventually we'll shoot that camera, but not today.
This one is just, it's a little bit of a game of cat and mouse. You're just, where are the defenders hiding? You know they're going to hide. They want to make sure that they're getting here to the next round and keep going and fighting this game. But for WSUT, it's what can they do? And a really strong pick found by Fully Hectic. And now can they continue to move this momentum forward for BVU?
Yeah, Azzy, you have to shoot your gun, man. That's not something you want to see for Wichita. And a knife kill coming up from Soul. Purple is going to fall as well, and now 1v4. It's not looking great anymore for Wichita. It's going to be close. Not enough time to obviously get anywhere, and Guy's play is going to be getting that final kill. But Wichita State, I think you take your time out right here and try to just close this out right away before it gets too scary. This is not somewhere you want to be right now. The bans were in your favor. You're doing a fantastic job up until this point, but BVU is really adapting so far.
I would 100% agree that this is the time to take their time out, kind of regroup, and it looks like they're going to try to keep their foot on the gas, say what we're doing is working, what we know what we want to do is our game plan, we just have to fix our executions. And by doing that, I think we are about to see a really fast kind of pace attack here, and it's really starting to look like it from WSUT with their lineup is they want to keep their foot on the gas and they want to move now. So BVU has to probably be realizing this, and I hope they did when they didn't see that they were taking attack time out, is they're going to probably do something quick. We need to make sure that we are ready, position ourselves, and fully confident that we are able to either back off or take the gunfights and not die within the first 30 seconds as a roamer.
Bomb located by attackers. 10 seconds left before insertion.
Going to be downstairs once again for Buena Vista.
5 seconds left.
And once again, no walls to be covered for, and they swapped the Ram out for the Buck. Well, it looks like Zach's actually going to be opting for the Blitz, and Purple will be using the Ram. So, it's going to be interesting to see how that change helps them or hurts them. But what you don't want to see, as we saw last time that they were downstairs, is Ace or Shrimply staying downstairs and waiting for the action to happen for the team. You want to be a part of the team and making sure that you're making progress for them. You know the walls are going to be open. We can always go back to that. Let's help and make sure that we're doing this second and first floor cleared out because they have a lot of roamers on the board. We've got the Mozzie, the Ella, and the Solus, so it's going to be tough.
And I definitely think that in terms of what WSUT was trying to do with opening up the walls below, was they were really trying to separate what was going on and getting those walls open and trying to waste as much utility as they can. And again, Emma finding the first pick within the first minute of the round, something that BVU really has struggled with. And now it's a game of favor for WSUT with the man up. Solus, again, not a big impact in terms of team lineup, but another guy that you really wish was going to be still on the board, especially when you're facing a match point type of game.
This blitz is definitely going to cause a lot of issues for BVU. Making their way around, trying to get another pick, but Purple is going to find farming, and now a 5v3 situation. Ella decides just to get out of dodge, clear themselves out, but Emma finds him in the hallway, and that's going to be a 5v2 situation. Wichita State looking to close out map number 1 fairly early here. Still a minute and 30 left to go, and they've got all the space in the world to work with.
I honestly think that BVU overstayed their welcome. I mean, this is one of those games where you're facing towards the end. You want to be aggressive, sure, but you have to realize at some point maybe you're being too aggressive, and WSUT was catching them off when it mattered, when they were trying to get back to site, when they're saying, hey, we need to go back, we're doing too much. And now it's really come in favor of WSUT, and it looks like they're planning some type of executor. They're getting ready to.
Oh.
And again, they're picking them off. They know what they want to do. So I expect a fast pace here from WSUT, sending in the blitz, and it's not going to matter. It's a flawless round to end map 1, and looks like we're going over to map 2.
Yeah, a very strong showing from Wichita State to close it out. They were a little scared in the first couple of rounds on defense there for BVU on defense, but they managed to pick it back up. They really adapted well. I think the blitz really helped them out a lot. Definitely made them a little bit definitely gave him a shock. So that's going to be map number 1, and I'm really excited to see what we have in store for map number 2. We're going to go to Clubhouse, back to a fan favorite, very traditional map. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Fully excited to see what these teams have in store in Clubhouse, but we can't say enough about Nighthaven. Both teams played really well. A lot of things that they can fix on both sides, which is great, but can they figure it out and shift it over to Clubhouse when it's a fresh start for both teams? But again, what can BVU kind of do differently here to make sure it goes in their favor? I think starting on the right side is definitely going to help.
Yeah, and really, honing in on your bands is going to be interesting too. I think that it definitely could have gone either way had they just really, I don't want to say that they didn't do their homework necessarily, but if they had known that they were going to do that, would have been a different story for sure. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be right back for map number 2 on Clubhouse, where BVU's pick, and we're going to see if BVU can take us to map 3, or if Wichita State can try to close them out and take the grand finals. We'll be right back. welcome back to map 2 of the Wichita State versus Buena Vista matchup here, the grand finals for the lower division. And we just saw a pretty, almost close comeback from Buena Vista, but Wichita State closing it out pretty nicely. They did a great job. And now we're going into map 2, Buena Vista's map, Clubhouse. And looking for some of this stuff here, we've got some more stuff that we want to go over before we send us off into the next game here. Let's take a quick look at the lobby kill leaders, and this one's actually a little bit interesting because we actually have a tie between two players, but Fully Hectic, Farming My Land, being the top two, and these guys are actually from Wichita State. And then Soul and Zack Attack are tied at 180, which is kind of, I've never actually seen that before. I didn't even know what to do for the graphic, but that's the best I could come up with. So, but yeah, a pretty high, almost 200 players everywhere, and so that's always nice to see. But yeah, pretty interesting to see from just about everyone across the board, and I like to see it.
Definitely think that the lobby kill leaders deserve to be where they are. I mean, 200 kills across the board for the top two and 180 tie between others. They got gunners on these teams, and we're starting to see it towards the second half of the first map. Maybe getting a little more comfortable or waking up a little bit, saying like, hey, all right, we actually have to get a little bit more serious on what we were doing here. But let's take a look more at some of the stats here, just overall on how some of these players are doing this season. But as we kind of alluded to in the pregame show, BVU is really consistent across the board. Obviously, guys plays a little bit lower. He's probably your support, your rock on the team to make sure others can do their thing. Where we were talking about the entirety of this game so far is Emma and Zach are really pulling the weight for WST, and they did that really positively for their team, I might say, in map one.
Yeah, and I think that this kind of alludes to the idea that like their stats are, maybe just a little bit off skelter. We saw a pretty, sub 100 rank coming out from Wichita State and BVU. They've got great stats and great lineup, but they're just the subs and whatnot are kind of bringing them down just a little bit. But yeah, I'd love to see someone other than Emma and Zach kind of show up to the second game here. We're seeing Purple and Azzy and Shrimply all kind of sub 100. And still like relatively, around the same deaths as around, what you would see from Emma and Zach. And so, that makes you wonder, these guys are obviously your frontline people. These guys are definitely like, definitely the people that are taking the first fights and staying alive. Quotes really quickly before we get into the second match. We've got the ones from BVU. Your traditional, what sound does a beaver make? Skog from Soul. And I think they've had that.
Love it.
I think they've had that quote the entirety of the season. So way to commit, guys. Way to commit. And then
Hey, they're consistent.
absolutely. And the ones I don't know if I could say this on stream. But I remember this. I didn't know what the abbreviation meant, but I remember this quote being on stream at one point in time, and I couldn't even say the second quote because I was laughing so hard. But
if you know is probably the
Yeah.
summary of this quote.
True story. If you know, you know. But LYNH from Temp as Wichita State's quote. And so if you guys know what it is, we'll just keep it between us. So, but yeah, I think we're just about ready to get into this second match. And yeah, Clubhouse is a very, very, very basic map in my opinion. At least. It's not too crazy. Back down to the core siege. It's really gonna test fundamentals between both teams, I think.
And I definitely am ready to see kind of what these teams have for a spin. The last time these two played each other on this map, WSUT won it 8-7 in week one. So it's a little fun to see it come back to it. WSUT won this map to win their series, and now they're looking to try to do it again, but this time for the lower division championship. But this one, early big one, the Montang ban. I can see it. I didn't really see a whole lot of it going out for what WSUT was doing. But the Cade, a really strong one on this map. But again, there's a lot of different options that they can be using. Kind of as a fallback. Castle, again, not really surprising. Thermite a little bit when it comes to just kind of that double ban where now they're going to have to be a little bit more resourceful. I'm expecting to see maybe a lot more bandit plays and possibly an ace. But one thing that the team should know is that when it comes to Ace, the mute as a secondary option does not actually mute the Ace charges anymore. So I think that's probably why we're seeing that secondary pick of the Hibana as well, just in case a fallback option to really target that Ace that maybe BVU was expecting, that maybe now they have the element of surprise.
Yeah, Buena Vista, having played defense at the end of that map, in map number 1, starting on defense here, they've got a lot more time to, really just hone in on defense. And I think the Montaigne pick was not terrible by any stretch. They're getting that out of the way early. Montaigne and Blitz were just 2 highly picked agents. Of course, they're going to be rocking the Blackbeard, so shields are going to be kind of there regardless. But the thermite pick definitely was interesting. I don't know if that was the greatest pick. You're still gonna have the walls beaten, in my opinion. Bandit's still up for the time being, so we'll see if that becomes a problem for Wichita. I think that Buck will still remain a problem for sure.
Yeah, the Buck is the one that I am probably the biggest concern for when they ban the thermite. And again, it comes back to how it kind of was on Nighthaven Labs of leaving that Buck open. Now you really have to start dealing with these consequences. So I really hope that BVU has a plan to maybe tally at that or tackle the Buck that they didn't have in that first map. But in doing so, now you have the Blackbeard on the board, who's going to be a lot more aggressive than the Montaigne probably was, just because he's got that gun ready to go. But only time's going to tell. But a really strong start here for WSUT, kind of getting a sense of what BVU's playing, and now BVU has to counter back and say, okay, we see that you have a Montaigne. We know that something's about to go down, either on this side or we have to be prepared for the flanks.
Yeah, and it looks like they might be trying to just get this Azami out of the way early on. We have the Capital already in garage, and Blackbeard's kind of just taking that distraction right now, just making sure they just keep my eyes on me, buddy, keep my eyes on me. As you can see that we're getting a lot of action coming out. Azami's kind of being, squished from 3 different places. The wall onto site has already been opened up, so they're able to, get a lot of space made. Util trying to kick Azami away is already trying to get them out of there. On fire, going to be down to half HP and not in a great spot. The grenade goes out as well. It's going to be very interesting. Can Azami hold on? It's not going to look like it, and there's the trade, but not before one player from Wichita State falls, and that win being fun.
Honestly, I think that the trade was probably the best option for him. You knew that Yazami wasn't going to stay on Raptors. It was the matter of when, but the last around a minute and a half was great. But Seoul finding a really strong pick as well to kind of go back in their favor, but now they got to be cautious that they have garage control, they have Raptors, they know what they want to do. Now it's, can we figure out how we want to stop this momentum, make sure that we're watching the flanks that they're going to do it, and make sure that we have a guy set on red that they're going to try to possibly cross with. But I think WSUT is realizing that they're waiting for the cross, and now they're going to send him in a different direction.
But a great opportunity from Sol on the Denali here. He has not a very, opportunistic angle here, but he's in a great spot in Oil Pit to be able to find something if he can just pick apart the pieces and find the timing to be able to do it. It looks like Vedish also in a really good spot to try to count someone out guard, but it's not going to be enough as he's going to be actually holding ADS there instead of, just hip firing that, and that's going to be another kill. But Sol making his way up, but not before he's spotted out, and that's going to be another kill. Kind of a squandered opportunity. BVU now in a 3v2 situation, and still 10 seconds left to go. Not a lot of time for him, but they're going to be able to get on site, but it's going to be taken down. Farming's going to shut it down, as well as Guy's Place. Now a 2v1 situation, 5 seconds left to go, and the Blackbeard doesn't have the bomb. He's going to be in a bad situation, and that's going to be another round, first round for BVU. And a little bit close, but you managed to pick up the pieces.
I have to say, if this is how the first round is on this map, we are in for one heck of a map. But definitely the big thing with BVU is they were playing a little too aggressive down on the first floor, especially sending out the guy from underneath in garage. That one was a little bit risky in my eyes, but the execution was there and the team was able to backtrack and get those picks up on the main floor for on the bomb site. But strong showing by BVU. They were able to keep their grounds and keep it steady, especially with some different lineups that maybe that they weren't used to. WSUT, same thing, playing aggressive, knowing what they want to do in the execution. I think just a little bit of miscommunication on their end. Hopefully they clean it up. And I can see this thing going very 1-1 here very fast. It's just a matter of what BVU can do to kind of prevent that from happening.
Good setup from BVU as well. Gonna be going for the Blitz here, or the Bandit and Mira setup here. They don't have a castle, which is a little interesting, so they're going to be able to look in through Jim and watch
5
the
seconds left before insertion.
the wall that's kind of being tricked by bandits. So they might not end up holding that, to be honest with you. It's going to be interesting to see what they have in store for us, but pretty good setup nonetheless. Denali once again being run by BVU, so the new agent getting a lot of hours in so far.
And I'm personally a really big fan of right now what WSUT has for their lineup. I think it's a very versatile. They have a game plan set in mind here for what they want to do. They know what they want to get open. They have the option to do it, and they also have some fallbacks here once they get this utility open. And it's a big if that they can get it open. They have a strong plan, and that's for BVU. Now I have to look at their lineup and say, okay, you're playing a little bit more conservative. You're maybe hoping that they're going to go the way you're hoping so, but if they don't, what are you going to do about it? And right now, I don't know if they have the answer. I think that they're going for the burn, which kind of just saw there with the Jaeger, but now it's can they get the pieces together here to kind of flip it back in their favor? And I think right now it's a question of, now are we going to overextend, or do we know our limits? And I think right now the Mirror has to be very cautious, because if she goes down, this is going to be a really big flood opportunity for WSUT.
Yeah, and Bandit being all the way over in construction, they weren't able to Bandit trick the Mira, so that's going to go out early. Looks like a little bit of a spawn peek coming up from Strip Club, but nothing too successful coming out from them. But not a lot of presence, or not a lot of momentum being made so far from Wichita. They got a wall open, but that's just about it. Everyone's still outside. There's no construction presence just yet. They're still waiting for that to be made. It looks like OSA trying to get their first piece of presence there as we hit this the last minute mark of round 2. And the first pick coming out to be Soul, going to be hitting Zach, and that's going to be a very nice pick for them. But that's what they needed. Trying to get that refrag, not able to find it. I would definitely not fight that if you're Buena Vista. Just hold what you have. I wouldn't really go for anything too crazy here.
BVU, I think you are in the perfect spot for it. They know they're a man up. They have them stalled out. This is not the time to be doing something crazy, but if you're going to do something crazy just like fully hectic, then that's the time to do it. But it looks like WSUT is going to try to return the favor on that and try to take some more ground, because they know they're stalling out. But BVU, hold their corners, hold their angles. They know what they have set up is working. WSUT doesn't really have a plan, but now it's an execution part of this where can you hold your ground and refrag, but now the score's timed up. They found an open gap, and now it's falling apart. WSUT is taking advantage, but the trade out makes it back 2-2 with 10 seconds.
Oh, and now just a 1v1 after more trades fall out. The Mira finally falls away. Denali Trips taking a little bit of damage, and he's in a good opportunity here, but the bomb has to go down. He's waiting for the plant, and that's just going to be a good opportunity for him to stall. He doesn't have the bomb. And that's going to be the round for Buena Vista once again, and not because they killed everyone, but because of the time and the patience that they had.
I think patience is really going to have to be the strong suit for BVU, and I think they noticed that from probably the first map, where they were playing really aggressive with these roamers. Now they're kind of holding them back a little bit, where it's like, okay, we want to keep you in for a little bit later if we have the opportunity to do so. And that was a great example here at the end, where instead of where they would typically have gone for the gunfight when it was the 1v1, they said, no, I have the case over by me. I'm just going to back up and let them have to make the move. So a really strong opportunity there for BVU. A little cautious there on what was happening in the middle of the round, all those trades, but they did come out on top at the end of it with having the case so close to them. WSUT, again, really keeping their foot on the gas, but they can't stall out, and that was the biggest problem with them in the second round.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of change up. Emma not really getting a lot of kills, so far, to be honest. Kind of just being picked off here and there, and not getting that impact that we're seeing. Farming my land, swapping off from the Denali and going over to Maestro. An interesting pick on Clubhouse, in my opinion. You normally don't see Clubhouse you really don't see Maestro unless you're on Cafe, in my opinion. So, an odd pick, but looks like, I'm not too sure if Wichita saw that. They don't have the Brava, so it'll be interesting to see how they combat against that.
I think the Maestro here was an interesting pick, but a brave one at that, and especially when it comes down to these later games where if you have a lot of site control, like what we have here. It's a large site. It's good to have some extra cameras on it for maybe where players don't want to peek, where they know like, hey, I got a cam watching this. Just give me the information from my teammates. But now it's to the point where, as you were saying, I don't think WSU team realized that they have the Maestro, as they don't really seem to have a solution lined up. But it looks like they're just going to go for it. And hearing the sound cues, it's why you have to have a really strong headset for this game. And taking the full advantage on a run out from a mute nonetheless on the top floor, 2 floors away from where your site is. Brave at that, and it worked in their favor. Emma goes down a minute into the round.
Yeah, and you know that's not the player you want to have go down. Purple, really the only player along with Azzy having kills so far in this game, and a lot of space being taken away from Wichita, and it's just not something you want to see so far. A lot of drones being taken out as well. You only have 4 drones left to work with, and you still have 1:30 left to go. It's just not a situation you really want to be in so far. You still have to make your way downstairs. Ram finally making an use of their team so far. And gonna be able to look into, has an opportunity here. He's gonna get the first pick. Nice job on Purple for making this game a lot of damage on Util. This is unfortunate,
but unfortunately, not that as the answer. But a good trade back from Zach right away. But it's one of those where now you've lost a really big pivotal operator. In terms of your lineup with the Ram, the floors, that's as much as you're going to get. And the Ying, a chance to get that execution down for an opportunity. So now it's what can we do with the hard breachers left? I mean, you can get open the hatches, but now you really don't have the utility besides some flashes to make an execution happen. But if I was BVU, I'd be sitting back with time on your hands saying, okay, now they got to push us. We have the operators to do it. We have 2 nitros. They got to push to us. I would wait, but we're going to see how this team is kind of progressing between the first map again and now, and WSUT is now the one who has to make the move yet again.
yeah, Wichita State now just making contact with the first Maestro. They found a way to kind of combat it, and looks like they might be trying to hit onto the site here as the last 15 seconds go into the round here. Hibana's going to get this plant down. Mira's a little bit stuck behind, but he's going to be able to get the first kill here. Bomb is going to go down regardless, but it doesn't matter because Farming My Land and Fully Hectic have shut it down with a great flank and going to be hitting them from the kitchen hatch there.
All I gotta say on that one is wow, and the immediate timeout by WSUT tells you everything you need to know about how BVU is playing this defensive side. And what they're seeing is it's not working. But I have to say, really proud though, that BVU has figured out what they were doing wrong. And I really hope that they can continue to stick on this path and keep their foot on the gas. But WSUT is another one where it's like, what can we do differently? Our top fraggers aren't doing well, and as you can see, they're taking risks, and it's right now it's not working for the WSUT. They're getting caught out of guard, and that's kind of where we were seeing it on their attacks in Nighthaven Labs, where were they not droning enough, or were they trying to move too quick, and it's starting to bite them a little bit, and we could see it there on the post plant that they just didn't have everything they wanted to set up, and it really did cost them in the end. But it's a really it's an interesting map to really see the difference between the two. But BVU just really coming out strong. They know what's on the line here if they lose this map, and WSUT now has to figure out the pieces.
Yeah, it's really interesting, man. I honestly don't know. I think that Emma kind of, I don't want to say fallen off per se, but this just is evidently not their map pick. Last bands rather, coming out, and it's going to be Bandit and Ace. Notice that the Bandit was obviously an issue, so really looking to get these walls opened as we head into CCTV and Cash. And Maverick on the board is going to make that inevitable, right? Like, these walls are going to be opened. Let's see how we can, get ourselves working. And I think that you really want to just kind of alter your switch. Make a huge change here when you're playing, if you're BVU here. Let's not even hold garage. If the site wall is going to be opened up anyway, you're going to be squished from 3, maybe 4 angles. It's just not really something you want to, put yourself in a position to. So let's maybe play in construction. Let's play somewhere where we can fight let's put ourselves in a position where we can, fight somewhere else, and let's not try to just force this. Looks like
Yeah, I
Attackers need to locate and defuse
I 100% agree. I mean, at this point, you can tell that they want the wall open. They're going to take it somewhere else. For BVU, it's don't fall into the trap that WSUT is trying to put you in without you maybe even realizing, because you know they're going to try to do something differently because they have to. So it's a matter of where can you take the gunfight to put yourselves in the best spot. And by taking it to maybe somewhere else where you mentioned construction, that's just what you have to do, and making sure that you are set up for that execution from WSUT to really just stop them in the trap. But the big one that we notice here as well is that the Mav is now gone. They're going to the Grim. They're going to probably elect to go really strong on the Rafters take. But the thing is, it doesn't really look like, besides what BVU did to start, changed anything. And that's something where now they're going to have to figure out what they can do without the Mav, and they're just going to have to figure out how they can burn this utility. But the big difference between what BVU did was now they don't have the Jaeger. So it's going to be a really interesting Raptors take, but I think WSUT is going to figure this one out a lot faster than they did in the run.
Yeah, and they actually swapped the Grim for a strike. Looks like it's there, which means that they've got a lot of, small. Don't run out again. Okay, I was gonna say, Soul, you're getting a little bit too greedy there. You gotta stop it. They've caught it. They may have fallen for it once, but not twice. That's gonna be the first kill for Anna in this second half. But like I was saying, I think that they've got a lot of these small hard breach charges, and so they're gonna have to jump into the site if they want in from that wall, at the very least. And so that's just not very opportunistic for them. I think that BVU is going to be able to watch those, and having to jump into a site is just not as ideal, so to speak. But this Flores causing a lot of troubles, and now we're going to see the Capital throw their util once again onto a zombie. He's seen it once before, and that's just going to cause a lot more trouble for him. It's not a great look so far. Going to be trying to jump out, but Shrimply's going to take him down, and now we're seeing a 4v3 situation.
Yeah, that one was a little questionable on the drop from the Izami. I felt like she could have stayed out there. No one really had a solution for her. She kind of made the solution for WSUT, but again, a really strong showing of what WSUT is doing differently here with some of their lineups here. But now it's a matter of can they execute it and figure it out. But as you mentioned, they don't really have the wall solution. They're going to have to jump through the rotate hole, and that's going to come with a little bit of hesitation, I feel like, in their mind. Because it's not as easy as just a run through, hope you don't get shot. Now you have to vault. And I think that their solution is going to have to be, let's push together, let's make sure we have the door set for when we do have to vault, we can get over. And it looks like the solution has to be done now, especially with the plant going down here for WSUT, forcing it into BVU's hands to come back.
Yeah, they managed to take a lot of the space from Rafters, and they were just using the wall as a way to hold on to it and make sure that you were clear from the Rafters side. A nice round from Wichita State. That's going to be their first round in this map as we head into round number 5. A good timeout from them and a great adjustment.
That's exactly what you like to see. Coming out of a timeout, winning the round, something that BVU just wasn't able to do in the first map. WSUT didn't take theirs, I believe, in the first one. So it's good to see that they take it now when they really needed it, and they were able to get a round out of it. And now they have the momentum. BVU now is going to have to play a little bit more cautious on what they're doing. But overall, I'm very impressed on what WSUT was able to come up with, and they took the pieces that BVU gave them and were able to make a round out of it.
For the Denali pick once again here. Still have the Mira. No bandit to work with though, so these walls will be open, going to be an issue. See how they can work with it as we head into this here. I'd like to see a little less run out, a little less ambition from BVU. They had their 3 rounds, and I think it kind of bit them in the butt. Maybe they were trying to get a little bit overzealous. I think that, I think that Wichita State is a lot smarter than that. They're not going to let things like that happen twice, and so BVU has to play a little bit smarter.
I think they definitely ran it as long as they could for the jump outs, but it really did cost them a big factor in that last round. Especially losing Soul right away, you lost the bottom of garage control, which really was a big momentum shift for WSUT. But now it's, can we stay more cautious? We have the Jaeger back. Hopefully they can keep the bathroom wall open as much as possible. But now it's again, the last time we were here, WSUT lost by time after losing a bunch of the trades, but how can they rebound from here? What are they doing differently to set themselves up for success to kind of shift the momentum back in their favor? But not a great start, but the trade very luckily gets them back at a 4-4 even.
Yeah, Sol being the first person to fall from BVU again, and I think that this Flores is, starting to be more of a problem for BVU. They saw it last round, and I'm surprised they didn't ban it, but went ahead and banned Maverick, and it looks like they're going to be able to get themselves in. And nice wallbang coming out from Zack Attack, his first double kill, and that's going to be a lot of space opened up. They're going to be able to get onto site here pretty swiftly, and the bomb is going to try to go down here from the office. A lot of sprays comes through from farming, but nonetheless, this bomb probably going to go down here. Is nice shot coming out from Shrimply, and it looks like they've got a lot more space to work with. The last two players, one on first floor and the other one all the way in construction, so a little bit of room to work with. Nice C4 coming out though, traded out, so now just a 2v1 situation, and they know where the last one's at. So this bomb is going to go down. Still the last minute of the round, a lot of room to work with for BVU.
I think that Nitro was a perfect execution, but again, like you said, now they know where they are, they know where they're coming from, and it's just an easy picking, especially when you have Emma up on the board like that. But again, it's a big momentum shift for WSUT. What they're doing, what they talked about from their coach especially, was working, and now you kind of see them crawling back to try to make this an even split. But for BVU, you have to start asking yourself, now maybe should we take ours? Do we want to keep moving the way we are, stop a little bit of the WSUT momentum, or do we want to keep sticking to our roots? And I think that they were figuring out, but again, the Flores was a really big issue for him, and I'm, like you were saying, I'm shocked they didn't want to ban Flores and get that off.
Back down to Church and Armory. And we are seeing still a pretty similar comp from BVU. We had Vigil this time. I think Leo was someone that was kind of on the bench for some time, but now is seeing some play time here. And they're still rocking, the Flores, which just looks like that's what Wichita State's going to be opting for again. I don't blame them. It worked fantastically for him. Ram, obviously you're going to see Ram.
10 seconds to go.
So it's going to be interesting. I think that Wichita State has a little bit of the upper hand here. I think it's going to come down to if BVU can kind of just adapt to the mid-round attack from Wichita. It's going to be very interesting to see. The hatch actually still open. Looks like they might be opting for maybe a little bit more roam. Maybe it looks like they've got 2 working for them. So it's an option for them. But they've done it before, and if you're Wichita, you just have to understand that, right? They had a good picks, specifically from the mute last time that they were in Church. So you just have to be a little bit cautious.
I think just it's the name of the game. It's just you can't overextend, and I think BVU is realizing that. So I would say that if I was them in this case, go for a pick. If it doesn't work in your favor, get out of there. And it doesn't matter how you get out of there. And it looks like he has that safety route kind of open for pool table. But do not overstay your welcome. Do not go down early, because WSUT has the momentum right now. But you just want to be a problem. You want to cause the delay as much as possible. And there we go. Got spotted, out, gone. Now they're going to try to send Vigil back up. Maybe kind of cause that a counteraction of, okay, we got rid of the roamer. Do we know about the second one? And I think that's what the Vigil is trying to play here in their cards.
Yeah, and only 3 drones left for Wichita. Still 1 minute and 45 seconds left to go here. Not ideal, but still workable, right? That they've got the presence made. A lot of bad damage back and forth between the two, but no one able to finally find the mark on that kill. Still 5v5 there, but a lot of damage nonetheless. Vigil's gonna actually stay in construction, maintain that presence. But yeah, it's not looking great for Wichita so far. The first pick opening up on Azzy.
That was a massive blow for WSUT. They don't even get that hatch open in kitchen, and now you have no more hard reaches to get something open because the Grim used them. So now it's kind of coming down to, what are we going to do? What can we flood open to try to make a play, because now we have no places to drop. Do we have to go through a tunnel? Do we have to just try to go down the stairs? BVU has to know this, and now they have to shift their momentum. But Zach finds a fantastic pick staying alive as much as they can, and they're just using the floor as buff, and they get the hatch open. A great pick found by Emma. So now BVU just has to stay back. You got 30 seconds. They have to drop. You have 2 nitros. Let them come to you. Don't get too aggressive here. And a great fallback by the mute as well to make it happen.
Boy, he gets 2. The last one, the other one dropped up in kitchen, so now the bomb's gonna try to go down, but it looks like a 3-piece coming up from Hectic. He's causing some troubles, and now Emma's the last player alive over in blue, but it's not gonna matter because it looks like Vedish is shutting it down.
They knew exactly what they had to do. They knew that they were trapped on that first floor, that they were stalling because they didn't have a lot of options, but the mute just keeps finding a way. Fully Hectic is being chaotic on this map and really causing a problem for WSUT. They take the lead 4-2 going at the half.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing the next set of bans come out. I'm getting Flores out of here. We swapped sides. My bad. We hit halftime, and Montaigne and Cade are going to be the first people to go. Sorry, I was so excited to see Flores get off the board. It was just a very big issue for BVU.
If they had the chance to do it again, it probably would be gone.
Absolutely. Maverick and Goyo being the second set of bans. And yeah, I think the changing point was this 3-piece coming out from Fully Hectic, like you mentioned, and just a fantastic work coming out from him. Able to get the 2 players up in kitchen and the player that dropped down, making it a 3v1, and just destroyed that side of the attack.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
The momentum shifted so quickly in WSUT, but Fully Hectic said absolutely not if I have to say something about it, and changed it back, and that really was the difference in that round. It's just they played aggressive, but they didn't overextend, and it worked in their favor. And WSUT just, I don't think they realized it based on the roamers. They had the ideas, but just not where they went, and I think that just comes down to their drone economy. But the big one that I'm noticing right now is for WSUT, they banned a really big comfort pick for BVU with that Montaigne to really start clearing a lot of that ground. A big thing that we saw in almost every round that they played on Nighthaven. So what is BVU going to have to do as a difference maker here? It looks like they're going to do the Blackbeard, which is a great option, but it's not going to be the full expectations because he's a lot more versatile to get shot than maybe you would with the Montaigne. But the big one I see again is the Goyo banning that out. They know it's a difference maker. They saw it in the first map as well, and they used it to an extent on their defensive side, knowing what a pain it was for WSUT. They just wanted to get it off the board and not have to deal with it at all here for the next few rounds.
Yeah, and something interesting that I'm seeing is there's no RAM. So we have the Aurora, so maybe we're looking at more of a blue hit, maybe we're looking at a tunnel hit, but no RAM is gonna, you're not hitting kitchen probably. I mean, I say that, but we're actually gonna go ahead and bomb from kitchen, so it's gonna be a little bit of a split push. We have the tunnel presence, we have the kitchen presence, very early, might I add. We're already 2 minutes in. The first smoke is gonna be popped to try to stop some of that pressure. Kitchen hatch is open, so we have a lot of presence so far. And now it's just a matter of how can we push forward. The Ying first goes out, and we're already into sight here, but it's going to be shut down early by Emma. And the second one's going to drop down as well, trying to find that pick. I don't know if it came out. It did, because he's knocked down, and that is not a great look so far for BVU.
Yeah, I don't know if they had... I love the idea, go fast, go quick, but WSTUT was just ready for it. I like the fuse pick. I think it had potential to clear stuff out. Call me crazy on it, but it just, I don't think their execution was fully ready to go, and it's really showing here by the double kills by Purple. And now we're kind of just stuck saying, what do we do? And Zach's just gonna say, yeah, let's just get the round over with.
Yeah, he had to think. I didn't even see him on my screen. I would have had to think about it too, to be honest with you. That is a crazy shot. Wichita State getting the first round on defense here, making this a little bit closer of a game. And yeah, it's not a little bit preemptive, I think. Not something you want to see from BVU coming out of the gate on attack. And with a zombie still up, Cash is looking pretty good for him. Now you have to think about how we want to go ahead and attack. I think that a similar setup to what Wichita State did against BVU is, just really do a great job of flushing them out. Go from the garage doors, come from the garage door entrance, and then make your way around. Try to do some Capitao maneuvering. So it looks like that's what might farming might be able to try to go ahead and do. But definitely want to focus on Asami firsthand and then worry about the bandit.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. I think what BVU's focus now needs to be, okay, we kind of got rocked in our first attack. WSUT is not kidding around. It didn't work for us on our fast pace. Now we got to take it a little bit more slower. We have to think about what we're going to do for a play. And now it's coming down to how can we deal with that Azami. And I think they have the lineup to do it. I believe that they can figure this one out, especially with the Capital. But the Capital is really going to be, for me, the decider on whether this happens or not. But again, do they also have the utility to burn through from that Jaeger to make that possible? Not exactly when I look at BVU's little roster setup here with their utility, but we're gonna see what kind of plays into effect here. But I'm a little concerned on the Raptors on how they're gonna take this.
Amos on board for the first time this series. Making presence. He's gonna be getting an easy pick. What are we looking at, Zach? Oh my! He made his presence very well known by breaking open that castle door, and I think he just kind of got caught off guard. That's gonna be a free pick for Vedish, and a really strong one as well, getting Zach off the board early.
I think the Blackbeard's presence scared him a little bit. That's a big blow, but at least it was the castle and defense. The utility should already be down, so it's just kind of down to the gun presence. So it's an okay one to lose, but player-wise, a big blow for their team. It looks like the Bandit's taking a good amount of damage too from the Capital. Again, like I said, the Capital is the big player for this team, but Emma finding a pick somewhere, it looks like from Raptors, making the difference, and we're back to an even man count.
Amos really trying to hunt down this Azami here. Emma in a little bit of a pickle, but has the Jaeger ADSs, has the walls, the Kivas to work with. So, not terribly worried, but, in a situation where it's not quite great, Holy Hectic's going to take him down, and that's Raptor space for BVU. And still a minute left to go here, but a lot of presence being made between both red and the walls leading into sight here. So it's a little bit scary as we head into this 4v3. You really just have to corral your team at this point. BVU needs to lock in just a little bit harder and close this out. Purple taking a little bit of damage as well. And then we see the first entrant onto site. Soul going to be getting the first pick onto Azzy. And that's going to be a lot of site pressure for him. Bomb is probably going to go down here if I'd have to say so. But Shrimply waiting for the Nitro. This might be interesting. Wichita State still has a great opportunity, a good chance here, even in a 1v3. But it's not looking great. Oh man, Farming going to shut it down watching that red walk up.
I am so happy that BVU kept their foot on the gas. I was sitting here so worried that they were about to stall out because they didn't know what was going on with these other guys, but they pushed through. But the big difference in that one was that Emma got picked from the Raptors. I mean, the BVU had no more utility to throw at her with the Jaeger still there from the ADS, but Damos just able to find a pick. Maybe it just her head extending a little too far up that got her picked off, but that was a big break that BVU really needed for that round, and that shifted the entire momentum. And now that they were just able to run into sight, just guns blazing, and they were able to find what they needed to.
Load times being a little bit picky today. I think that just might be Ubisoft, to be quite honest with you. I mean, they never play nice. I think we've found that out over the last couple of days, to be honest with us. Looks like, yeah, some players also thinking the same thing, but I think we're fine. I don't there are no issues on my end, no issues on my OBS's, guys. So hopefully we're just gonna wait to see. But yeah, I mean, BVU doing pretty strong. This is their map pick, so you would kind of expect them to just be a little bit stronger here. And I think that Wichita State might just be kind of lacking a little bit. They've got good numbers and kills like betwixt their team. I think that the BVU is just executing maybe a little bit stronger. I think they're able to read this map a little bit better as opposed to what we had seen on labs.
I think BVU just has a little bit of a stronger one, but I do have to say the lag, if Ubisoft starts to lag, we always blame Ace of Toronto for these issues.
Yeah.
100% we blame Ace of Toronto for these issues because he cursed the game yesterday. So I would say that that's all him. but it's a really strong showing on this map between the both sides. I have to admit, like I said, this game was probably going to be a banger. This map is showing to be a really strong one between the two. We're seeing a little bit more, I don't want to say dominance, but a lot more pressure between both teams, and just kind of seeing that side of BVU that we didn't really see in the first half, and now we're kind of seeing some of the weaknesses that we didn't see in the first map from WSUT, now kind of lingering into Clubhouse.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and rehost this match. I don't think it's anyone's issue. It's just the game. Um, I don't know. I,
Oh,
I think it's just a hope
wow.
they're just trying to ice everybody, make everyone cool off a little bit. Give them a 5-second breather, stand up, stretch a little bit, drink some water, because God knows that these players need it. They're sweating, their balls off. So
We ca- Hey, we're calling these players in the championship sweaty gamers. I think they deserve a little bit more respect because they're playing for the championship, but I don't like how you said it's a Ubisoft problem. I think we have to just agree it is the Ace of Toronto's problem. Uh, but yeah, I agree. Thumbs down to that. But again, there's so much we can talk about between these two teams and just really just their stories on how they got here. But the biggest one for me right now is just the difference that we've seen between the two. What happened in between the maps? What did these coaches say to their players that caused such a momentum shift for both these teams? Did WSUT get too confident going into Clubhouse saying, okay, we rolled them respectfully score wise? Maybe it looked a little closer, but they were dominant in the first game. Did we maybe bring that confidence too much into Clubhouse? And BVU, did they kind of get talked to from their coach saying, hey, we need to be doing better? We know we're better. We're here. Let's start showing it on our map pick.
yeah, it will be interesting to see. I hope that this doesn't ice the two play the two teams. Yeah, the two teams. We're gonna take a quick rehost here while we wait for Ubisoft to kind of figure out what it wants to do. We'll be right back with us. But first, check out some of these quick highlights from this last game that we just saw.
Oh, we love highlights.
Little bit crazy. This is actually back on labs here. A lot of crazy stuff coming out from Wichita State. I don't know why. I think I need to update my VMix pretty soon here. But crazy shots coming out from Seoul with a nice triple kill there, and kind of just doing fantastic work this game. Seoul was just kind of the player that you really wanted to watch out for. And then moving over to our clubhouse here, some crazy runouts. We actually saw. This is the first time that he went ahead and ran out, but the second time that he ran out was a little bit different. He waited over in pool for the entirety of the round, and then he ended up getting another set of triple kills. We'll see that later on. But some crazy kills back and forth between these two teams here, and some just really good shooting overall. Fantastic work. It's really going to be interesting. I hope that I almost want to see a Mira ban coming out pretty soon, because that's just going to be something that they're having a hard time fighting against.
Now, I have to ask because you brought it up. What do you think the Mira band is going to be doing differently? You
Yeah,
just wanted to
that's a
say it.
that's a
Hey,
good point. That's a good point. Yeah, let me think about that a little bit harder because yeah, I shouldn't just be talking out of my mouth, um, and just expecting you guys to believe me. I'm not some
I respect saying just get Mira out of here.
no.
I think a lot of people would agree with that, but I was curious on if something you saw really said to yourself, "Hey, I think that this would make the biggest difference for this team."
Maybe I don't know. I think that they've actually Wichita has done a pretty good job of just stopping it. To be honest with you, both teams have, but Wichita in particular. I mean, with the Flores have actually been pretty good stopping it. I think they've done a great job. And I don't think that they banned out a lot of the electricity, so they don't really have to worry about really stopping it, especially in like kitchen or something along those lines, or sorry, in bathroom up in second floor. Um, and it's just one of those things where you have to watch out for. I think it's just something that you always have to keep in the back of your brain. Um, but I think that they've done a pretty good job of stopping it. Something I do think that they should ban, maybe. Give me a second to think about it, but I'm gonna come up with a really good ban here. Going into
I could see the Mira. I could see why. I think like how you were kind of alluding to, just the annoying side of it was probably a good enough reason. Just having her presence there normally slows down a lot of the attacks. But I'm very curious to think now what you're gonna say, or if you're gonna lock in with the Mira pick here going forward.
No. The mirror is not our
Okay.
threat here. We're gonna play this round and then we're gonna go into bans. So if Wichita State wins this one, which I'm not sure if they will, given half of um half of BVU's lineup here, it's got to be either the Blackbeard, maybe the Buck, or the Buck or the Cat. The Blackbeard or Capitao is kind of like my toss-up right now. Um, they're doing pretty good. They might all just change operators, of course. But as far as Wichita State goes, or BVU's ban is I guess what I'm trying to allude to.
Yeah, this one I'm not 100% sure. I think kind of just going back to it, it's what we saw at WSUT. I think it's gonna be a roamer ban, and just some
True.
capacity from BVU side, just because that really did cause them a lot of the issues. So I would expect to maybe see the Vigil ban or something similar, maybe a Legion, or possibly just the Azami in general as that kind of ban option.
Yeah, Azami has been an issue. I think that that both teams that we saw, they've kind of dealt with Azami up on rafters. Um, but I do agree that it takes up a lot of your time. The roamers also being as someone being just a role that takes up a lot of your time, and so that's obviously a really good pick too. Of course, which one do you ban out is the hardest part about it. The mute has kind of just been like what looks like their go-to, to be honest with you. So nothing that I wouldn't tuck away, but it'll be interesting. If BVU wins this round, you're gonna have to ban the Blackbeard. I think you gotta stop these rushes and this amount of pressure. That or maybe the Capitao. Because after this round, you're probably gonna go downstairs after this round. So it's just something you have to be really thinking about. You have to really start to think forward if you lose this round if you're Wichita State. But if you are winning this round, then you have a little bit more time to think about how we want to go forward and ban to help ourselves as we get downstairs, and then eventually go over into CC.
Yeah, and I think you make a lot of great points there. And I think right now, if I'm BVU, it doesn't look like they're droning too much. They're kind of just moving forward. Now, I think this is when they really got to put their foot on the brakes here and say, "Hey, let's check out what's going on in front of us." And it looked like the drone was in front of them there, but I gotta say that can be disaster. And we kind of saw it a little bit earlier in this series, just without droning, what happens. But I definitely can see your points as well. But I think what can we do in terms of defense for WSUT? And I think that's just holding the ground. I think they're playing the mute, unfortunately, to die in this case. I don't see the mute really getting out of here alive. I'd love to be wrong, but now it's what BVU can do to finalize this opportunity so they're not getting their foot stalled. And they find the solution immediately, and Zach's off the board right off the bat.
Yeah, overstayed your welcome, indeed. Guy's place taking a lot of damage there with the shotgun, but able to pick up that kill. And a minute and a half left to go. You still have a lot of time to work with. I love this spot from Shrimply, but he's going to be kicked away from the Logi hatch there, and that's going to be an issue as they move forward here. We're still making some presence over on the windows here in K9, but going to be able to, put some pressure on, but not take any of that space. That's kind of what you want to do at this point here. It's the 5v4 situation, so you want to play as a team, but you don't want to, catch yourself too far out and solo something.
And I think at this point, BVU kind of has to be realizing there's a minute left in the round. The team's probably going to be really close to sight. As long as they can cut off these rotates and know they're good to go, I think that this is the point where they just have to start blocking them in. But they got to be playing more aggressive. They can't let them get swung like this. And it looks like BVU is just ready to go, taking the gunfights, taking 2 out just like that. 5-2 momentum. This is the time to say, hey, let's just flood sight. What are they going to do? It's one person. You got some shots on her. What can we make a play of it? And now the bandit's stuck,
Wow.
and just like that, it looked perfect. I mean, I don't think it was flawless, but it looked flawless by the execution there by BVU. That was perfect. Now they are the ones facing match point, and WSUT kind of has to put their hands up and say what went wrong.
Yeah, it really just kind of crumbled, to be honest with you. I think Blackbeard gotta go. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. That not something
And
you
he's
want to
outta
deal with
here.
there anymore. Warden, a little bit interesting. I don't think they played Warden. I don't. So maybe an
They
interesting.
played a Warden. They played Warden when they were in basement. That was a big problem for them when they went for their
Very true.
execution for
Yes.
BVU. I don't know if that was the best call, but if they were preparing for the future, in this case, I assume they're going to go down to basement. Nope. That's unfortunate, but if they were to, I think that's what they were preparing for. So a little bit of a curveball by WSUT. I think they realized that's maybe what BVU was planning for, and based on their lineup, it looked like it is
Definitely
what they were
was.
hoping for by bringing out the fuse. So they threw the curveball. I don't know. BVU is going to have to say, okay, now we're going to change our game plan. WSUT get a little bit of there, but again, the BVU team gets to pick their operators, where WSUT is a little bit locked in with it, but they threw the curveball, and I think that was a strong pick for them to do something like that, especially when you're down 6-3.
Yeah, you can see the amount of pressure that they were ready to put on in church between the Ying and the Fuse and the Blitz and the Ying. There was a lot of pressure there. Unfortunately for Wichita, they went upstairs. I think they might have foreseen that, so good on them for getting that out of the way early on. But now they've got to go ahead and fight this. They have the Azami to work with, so it should be pretty solid for at least a while, but the Capitao is going to be, like we've said in the past, their crux for this round here. So it'll be interesting to see what they've got for him. Bandit going for this, the Bandit trick in here, but the wall's actually going to be opened up pretty early, and there's the rush onto site. Oh my gosh, Emma getting the first pick there, and a lot of damage onto Guy's place, but the bomb going to be going down regardless, I believe, here. They're going to be taken out by the fire on a team kill. And a 5v1 situation, this has gone south very quickly for Buena Vista.
I have to respect the idea, BVU, but the execution was not there. You left Emma all alone in rafters, and she really was causing you those issues. I liked the vision, but I don't know if that was the right play. I mean, you're up 6-3, but now this is a big momentum shift for WSUT, saying, hey, we just smacked them on a rush. It didn't work for them. Let's keep building that momentum now going to our next site. And I think BVU just kind of has to say, okay, we tried it. It didn't work. Let's not do it again.
Attackers need to locate
But we
and
know
defuse as many
kind of what to
bombs as
expect if that was the outcome.
Yeah, maybe like in a Sixth Sense type of situation, they were just like, if they win, they win, but if they lose, we're just forcing them to go downstairs, I guess, is like a thought process maybe you could put into perspective. And now we're seeing the comp that they were initially going for, with being the Fuse, the Sense, the Blitz, and the Thatcher, apologies. And so this is maybe kind of just planning for what they were initially intending on doing anyway. So now Mira going to be coming out, and it looks like they're going to be playing a little bit more passively, maybe, from Wichita State. I would definitely not do anything too crazy here. You're on the match point. You really can't afford too many risky moves, but you also can't just be playing normal Siege. You gotta throw some curveballs around.
I have to say, if you think that they kind of just gave them the gimme round to move them downstairs, and if they actually admit that's kind of what they did, brilliant that's the idea. I don't know if that was the idea. Well, that's something that we might have to ask if they end up winning this series. But an interesting perspective, at least from that. I definitely think that WSUT here is going to be a lot more passive, just kind of what's on the line. But I don't think Emma's just going to sit down there. They have to be careful, and I don't see a lot of droning coming down from
No
BVU,
way.
and that might bite them.
I don't know what broke the nitro. The Fuse did, I believe. The Fuse broke the nitro as it was like stuck right below. Right below the Fuse there, so very good timing. Shrimp gonna be getting the first kill onto Soul, kind of stumping this push a little bit. Fuse kind of waiting patiently in tunnel for an opportunity to strike here, as we kind of just keep this barrage on to Kitchen going. But I think the dust is kind of finally settled here. A lot of players are hiding in blue into church and back of site here, so it's really kind of settled down a little.
I think if BVU comes out on top on this round, the Fuse has to be the MVP of the reason to be in that position where if they were to win that round, because that Fuse charge blocking the nitro, which definitely would have got 2 of them, was a big one. But the plant's going to go down, and they're not ready for it above. And it's just falling apart for BVU. They weren't prepared for it above, and now they're paying the repercussions for it.
Oh, got the knock, but you're going to be knocked, taken down. Anyway, got another knock, but Shrimp is able to shut it down. Shrimp, honestly, the MVP of this round here, doing a fantastic job of just wrapping around the offense there and saving the team.
I think both teams had a fantastic idea of what they wanted to do there. I mean, BVU had it drawn up perfectly for them. Didn't account for the player with the shotgun that came upstairs, and again, that they should have, because they did the same thing when they were on defense. So it was a great play by both sides, just taking advantage of what they were given. Unfortunately for BVU, it didn't work for him, but for WSUT, you gain a round, you gain the win on the site that BVU wanted to smack you down in and win the series, or win the map with, and now you're forcing their hands and you're 1 round away from going into overtime with a possibility to win this in a different manner.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for Ace of Toronto from Canada, I mean, BVU probably would have won that.
I 100% agree with you on that statement. I think that was a big momentum changer from Toronto.
Yeah, really playing his cards well there. What a jerk.
But I know he's not too happy with this in Twitch chat. But we gotta say, it is your fault. No, but anyways, we're gonna keep going into this round. Again, it's a little bit more of what's gonna happen here. Emma again playing on the Azami. It seems to be her bread and butter this one, compared to what she normally plays as the Vigil, probably just because they expected it last game. But nothing too different in terms of their defensive lineup. Maybe it's gonna be how they're playing it. But this is one where BVU has to just kind of play a little bit more careful and say, hey, what we have been doing on attack is not working. We need to kind of go back to the fundamentals. Let's drone. Let's push everything together as a team and really start to make an impact here. And they're going to have to figure this out now, especially with, it looks like they added a second person here to kind of stop them in their tracks in cash.
Here's the Nitro. Gonna find a lot of damage onto Vedish, but no kill there. Tried to bait out that Nitro, and good that he did, but not without taking half of his health there. And yeah, I mean, on a map like this, on a site like this in particular, you really just want to play laterally and then hold on to the space for as long as you can, and then do not overstay your welcome and get out. I mean, I don't want to say right now, but I would say like a minute 15, get out of dodge, play your life. You got a lot of players that are really looking really good on health so far, and a nice kill coming out from Zack Attack. Now you're a player up. But the wall is going to be leaving pretty soon for you. There's no reason to try to keep this space, try to play off, and just get back to site.
And I think that having the front 2 players of your roster for WSUT as the people that BVU faced first, trying to go that the way they are, was your best decision, and they're showing exactly why. All 3 kills across the board between both of them. BVU being able to find one with the blitz, however, the damage might have been already done, now it's already a 4-2. But now can we kind of figure out for BVU, can we pick off the Azami on her way back to site? Or is she going to stay? And if she's going to stay, what do you have as a solution for her to get through this construction and cash zone and make it a reality?
Yeah, under a minute left to go. 4v2 situation, not looking amazing. If Wichita State plays their cards right, we're looking at a 6-6. And it's going to be interesting. I mean, we're going to go to overtime for sure. I think that this is a textbook statistically in the books for Wichita. But anything can happen with this BVU team. These guys are crazy, and I mean, all that Wichita State has to do is just play it safe, play your cards. You got 25 seconds left to go here, and you just have to wait for them to make a move, wait for them to fall into your traps.
Don't know your side better than the ones who make it, and this is a great showing that what they have set up is working. But they're coming back. Farm in my land is ready to fight, but I don't think he has the time. He has the vision of where he is, but it's a matter of time. WSUT just does what they need to, runs away, and forces BVU to have to make the difficult decision of, do I plant or do I go for the kill? But now we're facing overtime, and the story is writing itself. The last time we were here between these 2 teams, it ended in an 8-7, and it looks like that's going to have to be at least similar to the outcome here that may decide if we go to map 3 or if we crown a championship here and now.
Yeah, that is going to be the story to tell, honestly, and it's absolutely crazy because, I mean, you look, going back to Buena Vista's round history during regular season, they lost to Wichita State in
Attackers need to
0-2
locate
fashion,
and defuse
and
as
so
many bombs as they can.
coming this close to winning a round, or winning a map, you want this so bad. You want this win, you want to go to map 3, and you want to cling on to this, but you gotta keep
Attackers
working
have
for it.
located
You
a
guys
bomb.
had such a great showing in the first half. You just have to hold on a little bit longer. These guys are adapting very, very well, and you just have to keep that fight going.
I think that this is one of those where BVU is just going to have to look back no matter what is just what was going wrong, and I really am hoping to see something different here because they need to do
10
something
seconds
different.
remaining.
Otherwise, WSUT right now with all the momentum has it figured out,
5
but
seconds left.
maybe shifting it more to BVU, going back on the defensive side is what they need to really draw this opportunity in. But WSUT, it's just, they're riding an all-time high, clawing their way back into this game. And it looks like with their lineup right now, they are looking to do it fast and with the resources they have to make an impact quick.
Still rocking the blitz for this game here. Wichita State has the opportunity to go back on offense, but I think that they just might be a little bit uncomfortable with that. Fully Hectic getting the first kill, but traded out immediately, trying to find the refrag. Gets one, but it's now just a 4v4. And the dust settles as Farming My Land hitches off, takes a hike, and is gonna be. He doesn't have any impact, so he actually can't get into pool from there. But he's gonna definitely be able to hide away. Emma getting a nice pick off the Soul, and now making that a 43, and still 2 minutes left to go. And you're pushing too far, Buena Vista. You gotta just play more defense. There's no reason to push up into blue that early.
I have to agree with the fact that you have a Mira sitting and watching blue, and yet you still decide to put the mute on the blue stairs. It's an extremely questionable choice, but you're going to have to hope that the vigil upstairs is going to do enough, but it's not going to matter if Emma and the team just keep pushing through from WSUT. You have to go now if you're vigil, because it's do or die. Time's getting dire. And now is your time to make the impact, but I don't know if he knows any information because WSUT with the Twitch is just, it's getting rid of all the cameras way too fast. But I have a feeling that WSUT knows something's up.
Oh man, a really close but missed opportunity from Farming My Land to try to get that kill, and even the score at least just a little bit. Now he's caught out in a really awkward position, but a lot of damage onto Emma, which is not something to scoff at. But still under a minute left to go, and now we're looking at pushing into blue from Wichita State here. And you gotta figure out something here, but Shrimpley getting that shutdown, and now just leaving Fetish up to do this all by himself, shooting the mirror on accident there. But you're in a very peculiar position, a lot of information for Wichita State, and so much util being thrown at you. Purple's gonna take him down, and Wichita State will take the first round in overtime of map 2.
Momentum rises for WSUT. BVU does not have an answer right now, and they have to find one fast because now they are facing elimination. WSUT facing the opportunity to win this and end this here. Now you have to ask yourself, what is going to happen? What is the difference maker that's going to set these teams apart to make this the impact that their story so desperately needs for both sides?
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Match point, series point for Wichita State here. Trying to close this out. All they need is that little push. Fans back in. Gonna be going for, once again, a pretty similar setup to what we've seen all map, to be honest with you. I mean, nothing crazy coming out from it. If it works, don't fix it. Or if it's not broken, don't fix it, rather. And gonna be interesting to see Deimos finally coming back onto the board,
10
as
seconds.
well as the Nomad. Interesting. I think that's huge. I lied,
5
going for
seconds
Goyo. But I
remaining.
think that Nomad would have been huge given the amount of times that a mute from either team has been flanking and wrapping around in this particular site.
The paper you sent will make an excellent
I full 100% agree. Nomad was probably the better choice here because of how much the roaming has just caused a problem. But BVU really needs to find the answer right here and now, facing elimination, going to attack a site that they're 0-2 on in this series. Haven't found an answer quite yet, and now they need to find one to force this into max OT. So if I was them, I would be playing very cautious here, making sure we know what's going on with the roamers. You have to expect there's going to be at least one or two, especially with Emma being on the board. But it's a matter of now, can we find them and can we keep moving and keeping our foot on the gas? Because this is the time that is do or die.
Possibly being taken away by Fetish. But nothing too scary just yet. Deimos all the way up in the second floor as well, making that space, making sure that we don't have anything to worry about just yet. Everyone's in basement so far for Wichita State. Nothing too scary to worry about. You don't have a ram this time, so there's not going to be a ton of clearance for you as you make your way downstairs, but it's going to be something that you just kind of have to work with, right? You're going to have to be able to adapt. It looks like that's just what Soul is trying to do here, is just adapt. Not too sure. Can you do that? I don't think you can.
I love the vision, but the execution is taking way too long.
Oh,
And it does
no.
end up biting him for it by Oz. And now we have to figure out, if you're BVU, you lost your ace. No more walls are getting opened in terms of that, or in any general sense, because the team's down. And it's all falling apart. You're a minute away if you're WSUT from winning this all. 3 people left in your way. No one has diffuser. No hatches are open. What do you do if you're BVU?
Oh man, and you're being tracked through the floor with a shotgun. It is just not a great look so far. Getting one pick at least. Sack Attack's going to fall on the flank over in Garage, so that is at least something that you can settle down with, but you gotta keep this pressure going. Fenrir gonna be targeted by Deimos here over in blue, but you have to keep this pressure up. You gotta keep it going. A lot of ADSs to work with here. A lot of util just in general between the smokes and the Mira and the mutes. So there's just so much to work with and battle against if you're BVU here, and you've just wasted about 30 seconds, and there's not a lot of progress being made here.
And unfortunately, you're out of utility. You have 2 smokes left, but that's not going to do anything for the ADSs. They know where you're going to drop from. They just have to go for it, and it looks like BVU's going to just try to rush in and try to make a play out of it. But now they're getting stuck with the smoke. They're going to lose a lot of HP in the process, but can they make an impact play? Not exactly, but they're going to tie it up with the time as a factor, and unfortunately,
Can you get it?
they're just not able to get it done. And WSUT is going to win the Midwest R6 Division Championship.
Oh my lord. I honestly think, well, oh man, if these two teams played a second time, I think we would be seeing a different game, to be honest with you. That was such a close fought game. I know that it was a 0-2 match, but god dang it, that was such a close game.
I knew we were in for a great one on this map, but I didn't know it would come down to the way it did. But honestly, who could have expected a little bit of a better story than that? We didn't get to round 15, but based on how that last round ended for WSUT to win it, you have to be saying, or how they're saying in their arena right now, they have to be ecstatic based on how that round went. But unfortunately for BVU, you fall just a little too short in this one, but still something to keep your head high up that you made it this far. But tonight, the victory will go to WSUT, and a very proud moment for them. It definitely has to feel.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna catch one of these guys at the interview here in just a little bit, and we'll gather some questions up for them. We're gonna pick at their brain just a little bit, and we're gonna talk and kind of just get a good overview of what they were thinking going through this game. So we'll be right back. We're gonna catch one of these interview guys, and we'll see you in just a little bit.
talking about? Hey, boys, we're talking, we'll knock you out. 33 don't care 3 markets. Go to them. I don't want you to know them upcoming new artists. Go to watch out. What do watch out? Them stink like my money. By the way, I don't want you no nice. I only want you the river.
Gentlemen, welcome back. We are here with our champions from WSU Tech. We have Emma on the headset. I'm back here with Nuko as well. Congratulations on your achievement. This definitely has to be a good feeling. How are you guys feeling after your post-game win?
No, we're feeling really good. We were really hyped. We were getting excited during the games, even though we were losing. We were having a good time and still excited to play. So yeah, we're excited. We're glad we won, and yeah.
Yeah, you guys did a.
Oh, I have to ask. I have to ask first. You guys have really seemed to become kind of the underdogs in this lower bracket. How does that kind of feel, or do you feel like that was maybe a reputation that you had to uphold for the game tonight?
No, I think it was definitely a reputation we had to uphold, especially coming from last season. We obviously won undefeated, I think, or was that last season, guys? 2 seasons ago. But even though we didn't win last season, we still had a pretty good run, and we wanted to make up for what we had last time.
Yeah, we were just talking about it off a little bit, behind the scenes. You guys are just about like the lower division version of Akron. And how does that make you guys feel? You guys only lost one game throughout regular season, that being up against KU Blue. But that went to map 3.
Yeah.
Nothing to really scoff at by any stretch. You guys really still held your ground, and they ended up taking 3rd place. So I mean, how does it feel to kind of go ahead and beat them and take that advantage?
Yeah, we felt a little bummed after losing against our game against KU, but overall, we still knew that we were capable of beating them. It was just like a fundamentally bad game for us. We all weren't up to par with our normal standards. But yeah, no, it's honestly, I'm glad we got to play BVU. We beat them early on the first week, and so we were pretty confident coming into today's game. We did some VOD reviewing. We made sure we knew what we were bringing to the table and what they were as well. And yeah, we worked around everything that we found different.
And kind of going off of what you were saying, where you did a lot of the VOD review and found what they were doing differently or what you wanted to do differently. Kind of walk me through that approach for you. Do you kind of go through the process of saying, hey, this is what we do, this is what we do, how can we elevate ourselves? Or how do you do the approach, or where do you say, hey, this is what they do, how can we kind of find their weaknesses for it?
Yeah, so when we went over their VOD reviews and from remembering what we played against last time with them, they play really slow. They make sure that they take their space, but they all play together, and they like their shield players, obviously. We took the liberty of not banning shields early because we felt we were confident enough to be able to handle it and deal with that pressure. um, but yeah, there was a lot of small things that just to adjust, like making sure we're actually resetting and staying still because they like to retake positions really fast and they like to play off of each other pretty well. And so we tried to stay calm and cautious with all the crossfires and everything that we found throughout the VODs that we thought would be an issue.
Yeah, you guys definitely did your homework going into this series, in my opinion. One thing I noticed that was consistently pretty smart on your guys' end was the bans of operators. Can you guys walk me through your guys' thought process between maps 1 and 2 as you guys were to go ahead and ban those operators? Because a lot of times we were looking at, like betwixt the two of you guys' teams, the bans were kind of sided towards your guys' favor throughout the whole series, in my opinion. They had some interesting bans that didn't necessarily help them. They would go ahead and ban someone like Thermite, but you guys would just use Maverick, and as of the latest patch, Mute doesn't necessarily counter Maverick anymore.
Right.
Or Ace was actually the agent, my apologies. But you guys would also use Maverick and Ace kind of interchangeably. So I guess, like, what was your guys' thought process when doing bans?
Yeah, so we usually we're used to dealing with getting like our hard breachers and whatnot banned on us, but going into Night Haven, I think we started on defense and we banned. What did we ban on Night Haven? Therm and Mav. Sorry, I don't remember. But Mav is just the one main one that is kind of an issue. They make small holes. You forget about them. You know, we get rid of that. Can't bandit trick. And then Therm, new 3 charges. He's just a strong character now. He's also got his shotgun and whatnot. But yeah, we stuck to our normal default bans and what we trust in our abilities, and we just made sure to continue to do what we know how to do and make sure we're doing it right.
That's a great thing that you were mentioning about that as well. But I have to ask, with the group behind you, it seems like you've had a strong core as a group together for it's quite some time, at least some of you as well. What does that feel like, having just that chemistry with your teammates and the ability to really make these plays like every semester and really just showing those types of results?
Yeah, so we've gone through quite a few roster changes. It was an interesting season to start off with. We went through a lot of like difficult decisions and trying to figure out what worked for the best for us and whatnot. But once we finally figured out what we wanted and what we needed, we stuck to it and we continued to work on our mistakes and the small things that we usually get wrong, the things that cost us the rounds, the things that cost us the games. And we see it countless times in scrims and even during game days when we're not having a great day. It's just the small things that we need to continue to focus on. When we have our energy up during these high value games, it really helps, and it really helps us keep us locked in and our reset comms and just making sure that we know where everyone is and what we're doing. We're standing on our ground and we're getting in there. We're letting it hang.
Yeah, absolutely. Last question that I at least have for you guys, apart from your quote, is you guys have won pretty consistently throughout the past couple of seasons in MWSR6. You're probably looking at maybe a div up. I can't make that happen, but like I'm just saying that might be something that you guys might look forward to. And so like is there anyone leaving your roster? I guess I know you mentioned that in the past, but are people leaving your rosters? And what does the future hold for Wichita State Tech? Are you guys looking at maybe T3? How are we feeling?
So honestly, it's gonna be rough next semester. Everyone here is leaving except for myself. I'm here for one more semester. Um, so that'll be a tough decision. We still are looking for players. We're looking for new teammates and whatnot. It's a work in progress currently. I'm not sure if it's gonna happen, but we are also currently in the progress of making a siege team at WSU as well. So that could be something to look forward to in the future, especially as a Division One school.
Yeah, very nice. I think that Garrett sounds like a really good coach. I think that he might be able to, whip something up for you guys
Garrett is a
in
great coordinator.
in a short amount of time for you guys. So
We are losing our coach as well. We're losing Tempting, so
No.
it's all me. It's only
Are
me.
you looking to become a coach then, or I guess what does the future hold for Wichita State Tech or R6? That hopefully we don't lose you guys entirely.
I mean, I would like to continue our siege team, and if I am able to promote it enough within our school, I would want to continue the team for the last semester and see if we can pull out one more strong fight, at least while I'm here. But I would like to continue to look to make sure that this program still has a good roster looking forward for them.
Kind of just going off of your roster. I mean, like you mentioned, if it doesn't happen, going out as champions is a great feeling. And then kind of going more into the game as well with just your roster. How did you kind of feel? You could probably tell during the game that you and Zach were the targets that BVU were really looking for. How did you guys really kind of adapt to that to say, hey, we know we have targets on our back. How did you hope or how did you expect and see your teammate kind of pick up those pieces saying, hey, I need you to kind of step up because we know we have a target?
Yeah, so we usually play a pretty aggressive roam. I mean, we're trusting our gun skill and whatnot, but with going into this game, we wanted to mess with their heads a little. We still wanted to play towards that aggressive side, but also still have the opportunity to fall off and re-target somewhere else. Like I like to play pretty ratty sometimes. Fall down, wrap back around. Find them from behind, but it's really just noticing where they are and making sure that we're falling back into each other as well and giving each other the right comms, making sure we know what we're watching for them as they're trying to fall off and whatnot. But it's really just it was a more strategic roam, I feel like, than usual. We usually try to play pretty aggressive, but we made sure whenever we took contact it wasn't too aggressive and fall off when we need to.
Great point.
Yeah. Once again, congratulations, guys. Like JD mentioned, way to end it off. If a lot of you guys are leaving, this is a great way to do a kind of a final send off for Wichita State Tech, at least for this roster. And hopefully you guys can kind of scrounge around and find some new players to kind of stay in this league. We love having you guys. Lastly, anything you guys want to mention before we send you guys off? Any final shout outs? Congratulations once again.
Any shout outs, anyone?
My mom.
Shout out to Zach's mom.
My mom and my dad.
Anyone else?
What would you take, Mike? Be kind of disaster.
Shout out MMO on
Shout
Twitch.
Shout out to coach.
Yeah, shout out to Coach Ben Tempting. Monty Main. Previous, you have to get in further. Previous Monty Main. He was our GOAT IGL. I will have it be known, Zach is our IGL. He is the one who makes the majority of calls during. So shout out to Zach. Oh, Zach. Goat Zach.
Great work, guys. A very well-earned victory. We'll let you go ahead and have some time with your team. But yeah, congratulations, guys. We hope to see you in the next season. Yeah, it's been a whirlwind of a series for you guys. So you guys have been doing great.
Thank you. It was fun. I always enjoy Midwest. I'm sad for the no clips weeks though. You guys
It's
didn't
my
post clips
first
every
year
week.
here. It's my first year here. Okay, I'm working on it. You
All
watch
right, all
watch the
right.
VOD back.
No,
We'll do a
I
proper
say
send off.
I am in the same boat with Emma though. I love seeing all the clips every week of people
Oh,
accusing her of cheating. Eh, So
yeah,
I
we'll
got
get
good ears. What can I say?
watch the VOD back. We'll get into that in just a second. We're gonna go ahead and take off here, and
All right.
we'll catch that in just a second. But congratulations once again, and take care.
Thank you. Have a good night.
congratulations.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the conclusion of Midwest R6 Season 7. Buena Vista taking the loss there, but second place, nothing to scoff at by any stretch. And Wichita State University Tech taking the dub in D4 to D6 in our grand final matchup here. And Akron Blue taking the dub in D1. Um, very, very huge games over the last 2 days here.
Yeah, I would definitely have to agree. I think all the teams really showed a lot of personality. It's unfortunate we weren't really able to see what happened with Columbia College in their game, but the other ones just it really shows just that dynamic that these teams had. Uh, Akron Blue, just the power that they have in T2. You have everyone else. You have WSU Tech here, really just causing havoc down in these lower divisions. But the story has to be written, and a lot of these paths are deserving. And today we celebrate just how these teams played out. And like I said, there's no shortcoming that BVU didn't deserve an opportunity to go for first. Second is not anything to be ashamed of, but both teams deserve to be here, but only one was able to win.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a hard-fought game for Buena Vista. Like I said, and I think if they played again, we would have seen a different game. I 100% would think we would have seen a different game. They really played hard, and Buena Vista, they just weren't able to take down Wichita State Tech. It was just a hard-fought game. Um, so yeah, we get to the point where I get to talk about how the series has gone. I feel like maybe there should be a different stream, but I'm just gonna do it here. Maybe next season we'll do like a production stream where we have like all of the staff on a stream. I think that'd be pretty fun. But I'll go ahead and just do it here. Um, Firstly, I just want to say thank you guys for tuning in. This has been a fantastic opportunity. It's a great organization. Um, this is my first semester here, and so that might be why the streams haven't been great. That might be a part of why the streams have been a little bit lacking in production. But I'm learning a lot every day. I'm trying my best out here, and it doesn't. I hope that doesn't go unnoticed. I just want to make that clear. I know that there are things missing, specifically the top five. I know that that's something that you guys really, really hope for. I'm hoping to bring it into this season, next season. So in season 8, we're going to be seeing top 5. So I just need to learn how to do it. To be quite brutally honest with you. So as soon as I go ahead and learn how to do those things, I will get those for you. The content will be there. But we're working on getting 2 observers for our playoff games, and getting instant replays to be a lot more hype and better just overall. Hi cat. Um, and we're just overall trying to make this a better streaming experience. But it doesn't go to show, or it doesn't go unnoticed without a lot of the support from the people that I want to go ahead and list off by name, and to say a quick thank you for. Firstly, our observers, Peeb and Genius, as well as Just Rilo and Lumi. You guys have done a great job. We wouldn't be seeing a stream without you guys at all. So that's been a huge, huge help. As well as our casters, I can't name all of them, but there's been a ton of them between Gedster and Genius and JD Haffen. This is the first time you've actually casted, but thank you for commissioning the league entirely. But our guys Ace and Kingfisher, a ton of you guys have really helped out and stepped up to the plate. It's been a lot of help. It's been very fantastic to work with you guys. We've had a lot of help from Chippy, who's the shoes that I'm trying to fill. A lot of this wouldn't be good if it weren't for Chippy's help and him kind of acclimating me a little bit, and as well as Zathor, obviously kind of just being the person that I can always whisper into DMs and just get some help for. So that's always been a huge help. But all of this to say, thank you guys. You guys have been a fantastic group to work with. Thank you guys for all watching. And I'm super excited for season 8, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We've got some cool things cooked up for you guys.
shout out to the new staff as well, who really have taken over this league. In my absence, Zathor and Mikeith, who do we all have? My Tech, Mitch. We have all these new guys, including yourself, Nuko, who came into this league, really to make a name for it and continue the legacy with a lot of these teams. You guys have done a great job, and it was an honor to come back and kind of share that moment with all of you, with your new structure to crown a champion that really was a big part of my heart seeing some of these teams the last few years. So I do appreciate you guys allowing me. But yes, it comes down to the people you don't see behind the scenes, the production side, the casters, the observers, the graphics, social medias, the ones who run it.
Yes.
Shout out to all of them who make this possible and to be able to give an opportunity to showcase these players' talents as they focus on the gaming side and their academics for their future.
Yeah, one more thing. I forgot to mention Wolf. Thank you so much. A lot of the graphics that we saw over the last 2 days were also from Wolf. So big shout out to them as well. They helped out a lot. Yeah, a lot of this, a lot of blood, sweat, and heart goes into making this every single week. And so we try our best to make sure that we can do that for you guys. Obviously, it's not always perfect, but we try our best. And anything you want to say before we close out, man, for the seventh season of Midwest R6?
I can't believe it's been that long. It feels like yesterday, but there's so much more to come. I know you guys are going to do great. If you guys ever need anything, let me know. For the fans who watch every time, you guys are awesome. The league doesn't exist without you and your teams and your fans and your support. So just continue to show up, show the new staff the love and the appreciation because they have a lot in store, and I cannot wait as a bystander to watch and see what happens along with you guys.
I've been wanting to say this for quite some time, but as the 2025 season comes to an end, good night.